I'm convinced we're the most cursed team in professional sports.
You guys are bad.
I've been saying this hot take for a long time, and I'm sticking to it. My hot take is that Will McDonald's going to hit 15 sacks.
No member of the New York Jets' Week 1 offensive line will miss a game all year.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time! So get ready to rumble!
Technical difficulties. There we go.
You heard that music before we popped in. I said, if he drags this on any longer, I'm going to leave. Forget the viewers. I'm out of here.
Chaos, man. We are finally here. Finally in the danger zone, man. What is up?
What is up? What's not up, man? Certainly not the Jets as far as playing good football. Woo! Today was a rough one, huh?
Very, very difficult watch. Very difficult. I've been looking forward to this because I want to hear what the folks think of this. Also want to hear, what you think of this because, like me, man, I don't know about you, Chaos. I'm kind of at a loss. I expected a loss. Maybe my brain versus my heart kind of thing, but like what I didn't think would happen is we would just get shellacked.
Yeah, I thought there would be more of an effort for sure. But this is what happens when you're a bad team. I mean, and people forget, like, let's just be straight about this. We knew it. We might be able to scrounge off some wins against bad teams or teams with backup quarterbacks, but I mean, no one ever, I don't think, was ever brainwashed to believe that this was a good team. And and when you're a bad team, you have weeks like this. Like, look at Atlanta. They'll have their special weeks where they beat someone and you don't know how they did it, or but then they'll fall right back into who they are and get crushed. Well, that's us. You have to understand that's who we are. We're that team that's right now, we're not a good football team. And every once in a while, if we don't do everything right and execute really well and are really well prepared, it's going to look ugly really, really fast.
Yeah, you know what? And just early on, the chat's cooking. We got 25 in here. Chaos, we've been live for like 2 real minutes. 25, man. Appreciate you guys chopping it up with us here on a Sunday. Let us know what you think of today's performance. I mean, god awful. I wore the only shirt I could think of that I was proud of today. Yeah. But yeah. Amid chimes in. He says, you can't even pick the Jets to beat the Saints anymore. What do you think of that?
I wouldn't pick the Jets to beat anybody, especially if you're putting money on it. Because there's one thing that every Jet fan should know and understand, and it shouldn't take long to learn. Never bet on the Jets. And if you bet against them, they'll screw you. If you bet with them, they'll screw you. Just trust me, when you're a Jets fan, you learn this. Do not bet on the New York Jets because somehow it's like we are cursed as they're not just cursed as a team, we're cursed as fans. You're never going to make money on the New York Jets.
Yeah, you really aren't. You aren't. You could try to bet the old 80 Mitchell 40 plus yards. If you did that today, like some people I know, you didn't even see a catch until I think the fourth quarter. Tough, tough, man. But you know what? Let's really talk about it. I know you did the watch along with Green Bean, so you were kind of locked into watching the entire four quarters. Um, do you think that's a different game had Tyrod not gotten hurt?
It looked like trash before he got hurt. I mean, he wasn't looking good. He's not seeing open receivers either. I mean, we don't have a good quarterback on this roster, and that's nothing against Brady Cook. I mean, Brady Cook is just he's a guy who's, he just stepped onto a football field in his first NFL game ever. So I'm not talking about any potential he might have or putting the kid down in any way. This kid, he just walked in and came into the game. So not that we had any expectations of him, and not that he didn't do some okay things, but right now at the moment we don't really have a quarterback, and we know this, and we've been screaming about this. We need a quarterback. It doesn't excuse some of the other people who played poorly. There's other problems on this team, but the most glaring thing is we can't get the offense going because we don't have a quarterback that could just consistently see the open receivers, make the throws, even the easy throws. And it only takes one, each drive. It takes like sometimes one play to kill a drive. Because it's the NFL. You don't get a lot of opportunities. It's not an easy league. It's just it's not an easy league. And if like there's an open wide guy running and you miss him and you throw it to the cover guy and you throw a bad pass, typically in the NFL, you don't always get that second chance unless unless you have an elite quarterback. But these guys got to help themselves. And then, of course, the receivers got to help them as well. The receivers didn't help. Brees Hall going backwards on multiple plays on second and short was just inexcusable, to the point where I actually have changed my mind of how much I'd be even willing to pay him to come back. I really took a big turn on Brees Hall. I'm really tired of it. I'm really tired of the nonsense. I'm going to say it. He's a good football player. He's not a great football player, and he should not be paid amongst the top running backs in this league. He's just not.
Yeah,
he's just not. I mean, there's too many of just him trying to be Superman. He's trying to score a touchdown on the play instead of just taking the yards that are there, instead of hitting the line. I'm getting to the point where I want to see more of Isaiah Davis.
You know what? I'm going to leave that one right there because folks in the chat know how I feel about this argument. It's been well chronicled all year what I think about Brees, and I am not far off from you, Jeremy. I gotta back you on that one. Let's see some more Davis, man. And
I want people who want to play.
Yeah.
Did it look like he wanted to play today? Did it look like he did not look to me like he wanted to play today?
Brees. Yeah, no. Also, like, how many games is he a difference maker in? Like, and I mean a real difference maker. Not enough. That's all I'm trying to say. Maybe some. I'm not saying not at all. Some. Not enough to command what? 12, 13 million a year.
He's down to the 7 to 8 range.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
you know what I mean? I'm not blowing 12 million 3 years and cementing him as the premier running back. We could draft a downhill running back, in the third round at this point. I mean, the backwards running was just inexcusable. He's missing holes. He's just too many and it's not like the offensive line is terrible and they're running right through and he's running into a wall. It's not. It's normal blocking There's little bits of holes that he's missing. There's 3 or 4 yard gains that he's not taking because he's stopping and trying to run around backwards. 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2, and then it becomes 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. And when you don't have a good quarterback, we can't afford that. You can't have that. You can't do that.
No. How many guys command 12 million and have as many games as he does under 4 yards a carry, under 3 yards a carry? I'd like to know that if you're down in the chat defending Brees. I'm not saying you are, but if you are, how many $12 million guys have multiple games this year under 3 yards a carry? Like, and I'm saying 4 or 5 games that bad. So yeah, that's a whole off-season argument. But I don't blame this loss on him. Let me deviate from that entirely. Jeremy, can you give me your thoughts on the special teams performance today?
Look, if our special teams, the way they're playing right now, they don't. I mean, it's a historical year, but if they could be 80% of what they are this year for the next 5 or 6 years, if this coach is going to make us one of the top special teams in football, and they could be even 70 to 80% of what you were seeing this year, and then eventually we get the quarterback, have a good offense, start repairing the defense, and we're this good competitive football team like we all want to be. Let's say we're a playoff team. We will appreciate this special teams. This special teams could be the difference between losing in the first round of the playoffs and making it to an AFC championship game. Because right now it does nothing. Because if you can't play defense or offense, special teams is not going to do it for you enough. It's too fluky, right? We were talking about that on Green Bean Show. But man, can you imagine adding that special teams to a good football team? And the swings and the differences it can make in a football game. It'd be incredible.
It really would. Today they kind of they helped us tread water there for half the game, to be honest. It's tough because I kind of have PTSD with good special teams, because the last time I remember good special teams was when we had bad offense. Sound familiar?
No.
And we had Greg Zuerlein, Thomas Morstead just kicking up a storm. And then by the time our offense caught up, the special teams fell out from the bottom. So, like, what I don't want to see happen is that again. Special teams is cooking, man. Can we even get an average? Dude, that's our bar. An average offense. Because with special teams being great, it might look actually decent. But right now we have great special teams and very, very, very poor offense. Very hard to trust, hard to count on. Very, I don't know what you want to say. Like, it's pick your poison. One day you got one thing, one day you got another. Special teams has been pretty consistent, and I'll tell you, man, the guy leading the way for me. A lot of people will say Nick Folk, but honestly, I mean Nick Folk, he missed like 2 kicks 3 years ago, like 1 kick, or I'm sorry, three kicks 2 years ago, 1 kick last year. So the fact that he's balling out for us this year, I'm not so surprised. The guy I'm surprised, Austin McNamara, man. He is killing it.
He's just an amazing punter.
It's like, since when has a punter been exciting to watch? This guy is, right?
He's an amazing punter. I mean, we got one of the best field goal kickers, obviously, accuracy wise. He doesn't, we're not one of those teams where we can go for a field goal when we're 60 yards out. Let's be honest. But the more important thing, typically and more commonly, is you need to be accurate from everywhere. That's what affects the team the most. He's amazing. The punter is, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's just every time there's an opportunity to put the team inside the 20, he puts them inside the 5. And if Arius Smith doesn't screw up that one play, it would have been another one.
Indeed, indeed. That really was our crown jewel today, though the conversation with what to be excited, proud of. It started 3 minutes ago, gang, and it just ended. Special teams, fantastic. Arian Smith, you're right. He botched the second one there. The first one, whatever. But yeah, good punting, good field goal kicking. It started and ended there. Offense. Let's go to that, Jeremy. And you can throw in the injuries, the whatever, all that. Just a synopsis of what you thought the offense did today against the Miami Dolphins defense.
I mean, it's hard to talk about the offensive line right now because we get you for that. You got to look at the all 22. I didn't feel like they were running through us, and that our quarterback wasn't being given a chance. So I thought it was more about not throwing the ball fast enough, not getting rid of the ball, inaccuracy of throwing the ball. I mean, we had a young quarterback, obviously, who's, you can't really expect much. I mean, there's only so much you could expect from him. You're talking about Tyrod Taylor is not only is he a backup quarterback, people forget they say he's a good backup. Yeah, maybe at one point, but is he good? You're watching him. He's okay. He's a backup, though. He's a backup. It's hard to judge the offensive line. All we know is, right now, the receivers were dropping too many balls, obviously. There's a lot of drops along throughout the team. So that was kind of sloppy. But again, I think when you get the quarterback, a lot of that goes away. I don't know how much of it, not all of it, but you don't find out until you have the quarterback. Then you find out what's left. When you get the quarterback and you get a quarterback that's accurate, throwing really well, then you start to figure out what's wrong. But it's hard to know what's wrong when you don't have competency in that position. Remember, and nothing against Brady Cook. Remember, Brady Cook is this rookie, fresh out of college, never played in the NFL, and the quarterback needs to be. That's why it's hard with rookies and to expect a lot, because technically you need your quarterback to be the captain out there. They're the leader. They're the veteran. You know what I mean? So when you bring this kid in, you're losing that presence. So it's just hard to rate the rest of the offense, except there were obvious drop balls. And then there was Breece Hall, who, had a terrible game. He did some things right. There are some things he does good. When Breece Hall just focuses on taking what's given, he's fine. When he runs hard and just hits the hole as best he can, the first hole he sees, he's fine. When he tries to be a hero and he tries to cut and run backward, it never works. It just doesn't work. Even in his rookie year when he was doing those great runs, when we thought we had the next Adrian Peterson, at least I did, because he was electric. It wasn't from cutting back and running around. It wasn't. It was from hitting the gap really fast, getting into open field, and taking off. So, they just didn't, they play terrible, and I'm hoping when I look at the offensive line on the all 22, they weren't bad, because that's what I care the most about, believe it or not. Moving forward in the future, I care the most about our young offensive line. I want to see them continuing to develop and playing well. I want to know that we're good somewhere. And there's three key guys I watch, and that's our two tackles and Tippmann. Because those are the three we know are, long term.
Agreed. Let me ask you this. Regardless of experience level, regardless of how hard each guy's position is, do you think that on December 7th, 2025, Fashanu or Membu is a better football player?
I think that Membu is going to be better at his position. Like, he's going to be higher praised and have higher PFF scores. I think Olu is going to be close enough and good enough to be just as, if not more important, because he's the left tackle. So I think Olu is going to have an edge in that he fills the most important position on the offensive line, which is not easy to do in this league. But Membu will be the higher PFF / All-Pro, more awards maybe guy, but he's doing that at right tackle, which is not terrible either. But I don't think it matters. I mean, I think what matters is that as long as we don't screw it up, and we treat them right, we have our bookend tackles for the next 10 years.
I agree. As my camera was bugging there. Yeah, you need them both obviously as well. Just wanted to show you guys this graphic. I think we all watched the game. We can all relate to this win percentage probability shown in the middle there. Uh, it was never as good as it was during the opening kickoff. After that, as you see, shot up, stayed up, never had a chance in this game. They literally beat our ass in our own building. Reminds me of a game we had against them, what, a year or two ago when they beat us 30-0.
The
Uh,
only positive thing you could at all say is that after the 21-0 fiasco starts, it was basically 13-10 the rest of the way.
I like that.
I mean, if you're going to say any positive whatsoever, we lost 13-10 after, in second, third, fourth quarter. Unfortunately, 7 of the 10 points came from special teams. And I know last week I was saying the opposite. It doesn't matter. Special teams is important, but it matters in the sense that, yeah, we know we have great special teams, but the point is you can't rely on that to be your 70% of your scoring. You just can't do that. Like it's just, that's not going to work.
No, no. I hate to break it to you, Chaos, but I just wanted to let you know
Yeah.
that the 3-10 Jets have just been eliminated from playoff contention for the 15th consecutive season. The longest active drought in all 4 major North American sports. 10 plus losses, 6 straight seasons, the longest active streak in the NFL. Yeah. Thoughts on that?
Look, I mean, obviously this regime is our is year one. They have nothing to do with anything that happened in those past 14 years. It's not on them. And unfortunately, this wasn't one of those situations where we had the quarterback in place for the new coach, like they have up in New England. This wasn't a situation where we came in with a new rookie like Stroud in Houston. We came in with a bridge quarterback idea, like putting, and a toss of the coin or a flip of the coin or a throw of the dart. And Justin Fields did not pan out. And so this regime is starting with, no quarterback and a terrible roster, that which is temporarily made worse by the trades. Like we traded away the 2 best defensive players. Garrett Wilson has been hurt, so we're missing our best offensive player. So it's not a great roster, and the roster was temporary. I say temporarily because we got to see what happens with these draft picks and what we do with them.
Yeah,
but there's no question that except for AD Mitchell, nothing came back in those trades yet. There's no return. We just lost Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner.
You're right. You're right. That's huge. That's huge, actually. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Uh, it does suck. I mean, I think we were all hoping that streak would end this year. I think we all knew it would not. Early, very early. So it's not as an indictment that we thought it would be at this stage. Um, Tough, man. We do need to see that return. That return is one thing that I think is keeping a lot of us still plugged in, keeping a lot of us still hopeful. 5 first round picks is nothing to blink at, or whatever, sneeze at, or whatever you want to say. Um, you know, I, it's very early in the show. I wasn't expecting to bring Tankathon up yet, but do you just want to kind of glance around? I mean, what did you think of that kind of spin on today's events? I mean, we saw things happen around the league. Anything you want to sound off on there that might have helped or hurt the Jets?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great things help the Jets. So, like we got very lucky external to the team. I mean, I would never wish serious injury on a player. Like I would never be happy about what happened to Daniel Jones. But from the perspective of what's going to happen probably to the Colts now and what's happening to the Colts, this is very good for the Jets from a Jets draft perspective. The day we made that trade, it was projected as like the 30th or 31st pick, that number one that we were getting from the Colts. Right now, as of today, it's pick number 18. So, if they get eliminated from the playoffs, the worst that pick could be is 18. If other teams actually do better than them by the end of the season, they can move up to 15, 16, depending on how many games they lose. So, that was good for us, as far if you're someone who follows the draft and future and the value of our draft picks, that's helping us because that second pick is starting to become a pick where suddenly you're in play for guys like Lemon, like the top wide receivers like Lemon, like and all these other, depending on who you like, some of these linebackers and defensive players, like that pick is suddenly becoming very potent and valuable. Also, New Orleans won, which means if we lose next week to New Orleans, suddenly now there's hope that we could move our pick up, and get a little bit further up and be a little closer to where we want to be to get a quarterback potentially, or even if it means just having less that we have to trade to get into a spot to grab the quarterback that we want if we end up going that way. So, there was some ramifications regarding the draft that did fall in our favor. And I don't know if they're still winning, but if Houston beats Kansas City, that officially knocks the Colts out of playoffs right now temporarily. Like they literally are, like season ended today, not in the playoffs if they lose this game.
Interesting. I didn't realize that. But I have it on, but I haven't been tuned into it.
Yeah, if
I will.
Houston wins, they take over from the Colts, and the Colts go to in the hunt.
Ooh. Okay, they are up. 4 minutes left in the third, 10-7. But Chiefs are also their backs against the wall as well. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure, gang. Um, as Yeti says, hit the like. Appreciate you, Yeti. But you mentioned the Tankathon stuff. This was a lot more, I think, obvious last week with Tennessee being that lone one-win team, them winning. Now you got three teams vying for that 1, 2, 3 pecking order, and then we have us all in that 3-win mark. We'll see. Like you said, we play the Saints next week. That's going to be huge. It is. So we'll see how that plays out. Honestly, Shuck played great today. But also, like, 2 of his touchdowns were with his legs. I mean, I'm not taking that away from
I
him
mean, look,
because honestly,
even if New Orleans doesn't want a quarterback, if they're ahead of us, that's a problem because it's still a problem because there's still a team that someone could trade with to jump in front of us.
not enough people mention that. They want all these teams that already have quarterbacks ahead of us, and it's like those are just ladder rungs for trading, for
Yeah,
jump.
yeah. And not only that, if we're behind New Orleans, that's that. And now New Orleans is going to take a position player, and we're going to trade with Tennessee. Behind New Orleans is worse because New Orleans is a threat to Tennessee. When they say, "Oh, we got to trade with you," but New Orleans is in front of, we're not going to get Avril Reese, or we're not going to get, they're
Yes,
not going to get the guy that they want because New Orleans might take him. But
I
if
see what you mean.
if we're ahead of New Orleans, then Tennessee doesn't mind trading with us as much. It doesn't hurt them as much to go back because they could still get the best position player that they want, right? So how far they have to trade back impacts the price we might have to pay them.
You know what? Harlan is right. We do not play the Saints next week, as an earlier viewer stated that got me off guard. We do play Jacksonville first,
Okay,
and then
good.
we play the Saints. But that's okay. We're gonna get there. That game is still just as important if it's week 14 or 15.
Right.
But
Either
Harlan,
week, the Saints game is going to be probably the decisive game of who picks there's a very good chance. I mean, it's not definitive, but there's a very good chance that whoever, if we lose to the Saints, we'll be ahead of them. If they lose to us, they're going to be ahead of us. There's 4 games left, so this order is not final. You could see how log jammed it is, how close it is. The Giants are still playing hard with Dart. They're trying to win games, so there's it's not like they're going to lose out on purpose. They're not tanking. There's a chance they're going to win a game, possibly 2. We don't know. Vegas and Tennessee are pretty bad, and Vegas has probably no motivation to actually win a game if you think about it, because they could use a quarterback too.
I don't even know if their coach survives, and I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but things are grim over there in Vegas. Let's just say that. You know what? I didn't realize I did until now. I did kind of gloss over probably the most abysmal part of the Jets' day, and that would be the performance of our defense. Chaos, I want to get your thoughts on that.
Boy, do we need linebackers, man. Boy, do we need. I mean, let's be honest. Quincy Williams, what's sickening is when they benched him and they did that whole thing with him, he came out and he played great and he was playing like fire and everything. Where was he today? So he settled right back into what he's doing. The guy's playing with no emotion. I don't care. And I'm sick and tired of these guys making a big play once in a while. And then everybody's saying, oh, I don't care. They're linebackers. They make a play once in a while. That doesn't mean anything. Like I mean, for any Jet fan was around when we were good, do you remember what it was like to have a good linebacker or good linebackers? Like, it's actually quite important. And that's what we saw. I mean, I'm not ringing the bell of any part of this defense. We were terrible against the run. Tons of people were missing tackles, but the absence of that second level is so glaring on so many plays. And I'm so ready for us to just start drafting some 250-pound, 260-pound, full-size, big, strong, knock you, out of your freaking uniform linebackers.
Same.
I mean, and then Sherwood had a couple of good plays. They do just enough to make you say their name and think, oh, but a couple of good plays. How many reps were there? How many times did they run the ball against us? And it's like, and where was Sherwood on every other play other than the couple of good plays that he made? You know what I mean? It's not good enough. It's not enough. We might need more than one linebacker. We might need 2 linebackers. We're not going to obviously invest 2 high draft picks, but we absolutely got to take one of those top 4 picks, assuming we don't make any kind of trade. But the way things stand right now, assuming we use all 4 picks, one of them has got to go to linebacker. It's just got to be. And I know Rusty loves Sonny Styles, and that would be incredible. A defender like Avril Reese would be from Ohio State. I would also love. We also are going to need to get serious about the safety room. We got to be real there. Like, we got to get serious about this. And it's been too long of just trying to change guys and do projects. And no, I want to bring in some studs, and this defense has a lot of holes to fill.
I am with you, and as you were saying that, I tried to grab a graphic here that supported your point. I mean, the Dolphins, they rushed for 239 yards today, the most since week 3, 2023 against the Broncos. Damn poor performance by our linebackers. Just listening to the Green Bean stream, that's one thing you could not miss is Dom and you both screaming how poorly Sherwood and Quincy were playing. Malagoa, how big of a factor that was in this game, and I mean, it was pretty glaring. I don't know how we rectify it since we just signed Sherwood. I think we're kind of married to him, but
I think Sherwood out of the 3 would be the best complementary to if we get a real linebacker.
If you get the right,
you know what I mean? Like, I think Sherwood would be, we weren't relying on him as the best, our number 1, but he was next to a stud, like there's an absolute beast of a linebacker, and then Sherwood's your other guy. I think we'll be okay, at least for another year. like
Okay.
another year, and then eventually we could replace him. But I think we just got to get in that one freaking animal though. Just
Yeah.
a guy that's just making an impact.
I'm with you. This is a Savage Jedi. Rusty Spooner says Leo Chanel and Sonny Styles together would wreck house.
Yeah,
You know what?
I,
Hey,
I don't know their rankings now. Like, I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a first and a second? Are we talking about Leo Chanel being a guy you can get in the third or fourth?
well, it sounds like, according to Modine, that Leo
Oh,
Chanel
Leo
might be a
Chanel's not coming out.
yeah, yeah. It sounds like he's
Leo
a
Chanel
better.
is Leo Chanel is a guy that Rusty, and this is why I'm confused. Rusty loved him out of college. That was a guy he used to say we should draft out of college back in the day, not so long ago.
Got you.
So he
Got you.
still loves him. Who does he play for now? I don't. I
Good.
just don't hear his name very often. I'm not familiar with his career in the NFL, to be honest.
Leo. Let's see.
Yeah,
Leo.
I have not followed him.
Leo Chanel, Chief linebacker, free
Huh.
agent this off
I
season.
don't know why I'm
Un,
so oblivious to it. I guess I just am so focused on Jones for Kansas City that I
it's
don't.
probably because we're in here on Sunday nights and the Chiefs always play Sunday night football, brother.
Yeah, or that I just don't care enough about other teams and learning all their players.
Fair, fair. Once they're drafted, they're off the purview, right? Hey, dude, if we can get one via free agency and one via draft, though, like I mean, that's the resounding point I think the chat's trying to make. Like,
Yeah, sure, do it. That'll turn
yes,
it will be a different defense. There's more to do. We got a lot to rebuild this defense. We need at least one, if not two edges. Right. So over the next 2 years, we're not going to fix it in 1 year. Over the next 2 years, we have to bring in edge. We have to bring in at least one stud safety, two linebacker. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to do on this defense.
there is. There is. Let me ask you. Okay, so that's a good point, and I want to go to the next giant topic of Jet fan discourse at this moment. Um, you're saying a lot of work needs done on that defense. Does it start at the top? Does it start at the defensive coordinator position?
I would not be upset at all if they got rid of him and got me a young, aggressive guy that's innovative and more with the times than one of these old crusty guys. That speaking of old and crusty, Modine. But like I'm just tired. Like I wouldn't mind. Just finding one of these young, aggressive, kind of new wave coaches that come, from one of these good defenses that we see in the league, like one of the assistants or something, um, and find, just changing it up a little bit. I'm so sick of the soft zone, the giving away free yards, the lack of toughness. I'm just tired of it. And then somebody who could teach these guys how to tackle, or bring in players who knew how to tackle something. But I'm so tired of the inability to tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. Some of those runs we saw from A-Chain where he just slips through a gap and four of our guys hit into each other. It's like, really, man? Like, really? Really? Again, tough watch. We said it at the top of the show. We're just describing it now. Wilkes is tough for me because it's like, it's not what I want. It's what I think Glenn will do. And with Glenn, it's like that was his handpicked guy. And I don't even think it mattered that the guy didn't have an NFL job at the time. He still went, got him, brought him in. It's his guy. Is he? It would show me a lot if Glenn were to self-assess and say to himself, "Yes, we do need a change here. Let's switch it up." I would massive kudos. I just don't know if he will, and I hope he does, but I don't know, man. I'm a little worried there. But like you look around at our team, and it's like special teams. We have a young upstart, invigorated coach who is making waves. Offense, young upstart, invigorated coordinator making waves. Defense, we got a fucking dinosaur, man.
We got a fucking Modine dinosaur. I mean, Modine and this guy are going to be sitting out a nursing home in 2 weeks, or, in a year from now,
Yep,
sitting there
playing
and
chess.
eating pigeons and playing chess. So it's like it's enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Charles asks, can Glenn self-assess and fire himself?
Hmm.
Ooh.
I don't think he'll fire himself, but I think we're way too early for that. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
he might end up fired. He might. I mean, not this year, but he might end up in 2 years from now, or after next year. If we're just as bad next year, then you got to. But it's just way too early to know that for sure. It's just that,
Yes.
I mean, and not saying you can't have your opinion. You could have your opinion. He's got, and have no belief in him, and we may as well fire him now. But I just don't see the evidence of that yet. I think that, you got to see what happens when we bring you got to give a coach when you hire them. You got to see when they get to bring their guys in. And there has to be improvement, though, no matter what. No excuses. Next year has to look different and feel different. We have to be a team that's 7 to 9 games, like by the end, or in the hunt, sort of say, like, we have to be a real team
Yeah.
next year. And if it's not, and if we're sitting here at this time next year 3-10, then I'm not going to speak up. Like, I'm not going to be his defender if they let him
No.
go at the end of next year.
No, I mean, context obviously matters, but like also he's in charge of the context. Like he is in control of the context. So if we were to get to that point, it's he made his own bed. A guy that may or may not help this team actually was highly publicized this weekend. Jeremy, I want to get your thoughts on him. Not to deviate too far, but I mean, hey, man, it's kind of right in our laps as far as conversation goes. Guy by the name of Mendoza. He had a game. He had a game this weekend, Jeremy. Did your opinions on him strengthen, weaken? What do you think of that?
I just, he just continues to do more. I'm not saying he's generational. I don't want to get overhyped. He's not one of these guys that is just dominant in every situation, and the perfect prospect. So, which is why I'm not sitting here yelling we should trade up and do anything to get him. I'm not saying we should do anything in the world to trade up and get Mendoza. I think he's the best prospect in this draft. Do I know he's going to be the best quarterback out of this draft in the NFL when it's all said and done? No, because if I set him against the rest of the field, out of all the other quarterbacks that could be drafted this year, one of the other ones that come drafted after him might end up being better. I'm just saying he did nothing to lose his spot up top of my rankings. He continues to do things that I like to see. And the reason I rank him first is he continues to drop back. He continues to go through progressions, with something the other two guys don't do a lot of. No one drops back and goes through progressions like a real NFL style of offense more than he does. He deals with tons of pressure. His offensive line is still banged up. He's under duress a lot. And he finds a way, and he rises to the occasion, and he makes the clutch throws, and they're NFL level throws. He's not throwing to wide open guys. Good ball placement. So he stays my guy on top. In my opinion, is the guy that I would draft. But I am not screaming trade 3 number ones, trade every draft pick for him, because I'm not claiming he's generational. I'm just saying, in my opinion, he's the best quarterback in this draft and has the best chance to be a successful NFL quarterback.
Let me ask you a question, and I think it's one you probably won't get again. It's maybe a little different spin on it. But for me, the quarterback that I seek for this franchise is a guy that needs to be somewhat, with lack of a better term, kind of numb to the noise, a little, just like an Eli Manning. He was numb to the noise, however you want to frame that, but he was. You can't be too much in your own head, too worried about what the press will think, too worried about what the fans will think. With that in mind, if I'm looking for someone like that, what would the therapist, Jeremy JetsChaos, say about a guy like Mendoza? I'm assuming you saw his post-game interview. Is that a guy that might be numb to the noise? Is it a guy that is just going to be just like any other quarterback we draft?
I mean, look, I don't get too carried away with that because you don't know how much of it's coached, how much they're just saying a script. And, I've done that with coaches, thinking coaches were going to be good because I like what they say. He's done nothing or said nothing. I mean, the only thing I could say about him is he's avoided the negatives. I've never seen him point the finger at other players. I've never, ever. I've never seen him do that. He has the quirkiness that Ryan told me from Jetstalk 24/7. There's something about him that's weird or off, a little off. But it's all of them. Like you ever used to watch Montana be interviewed, and Steve Young was corny and cheesy as hell. So. I mean, it's like growing up over the years. It's not like these quarterbacks are all these like Joe Cool, like they're all plenty of them have been quirky and a little strange and a little weird. I love what I see on the field. I see how the players talk about him and playing with him, and sometimes that's important too, to look at how the other players look at him, and they love him, and to have him mention in his post game interview about how early in the morning they were, they would during the summer 6 in the morning they'd be out there. And then the players kept bringing it up when they were interviewing the receivers, like Charlie Becker. And he was saying, well, it all started at 6 in the morning. And, for college kids, that's a big deal, So I don't have any thumbs downs. I don't have any huge red flags on Mendoza. My only red flag on Mendoza is the automatic red flag that every college quarterback gets. And that's they've never taken an NFL snap. That's my red flag on every college quarterback. That's what I've learned. If you haven't done it in the NFL, we don't really know.
Yeah, you're right. No, and even the GMs do not know. I mean, the drafts of past are littered with mistakes by smart guys and dumb guys alike. Sir Luca chimes in on the convo chaos. He says, after beating Ohio State, Mendoza is now a can't-miss one-time generational prospect.
I just don't believe in that anymore. Trevor Lawrence, 2 words. Trevor Lawrence, what happened? And not that Trevor Lawrence is bad, but
Right.
let's all be honest. He's not what he was not what he was built up to be, or at least not yet. He has not. He was supposed to be like the guy, the superstar, like on the pedestal, holding up Lombardi trophies by now.
The Andrew Luck, Luck, which also coincidentally was not the guy. Billy chimes in though. He says if he's there for the Jets, they should take him. Period. But do not trade up to get him. Is that where you are, or are you only saying don't trade 3 number ones for him?
I think there's a price that might be worth it for him. The problem I have with it is the reason it's hard, and I'm with Billy on this, is we were just talking about it. We have so many holes. We have so many things we need to fix. So you really got to think about how much you're going to give up, and how sure you are. If they love him, and we'll never know because we're not in those back rooms, but if they love him, and they're seeing it, and I believe that you got to do what you got to do. And if you really believe, if your whole professional staff of scouts really believe that's the quarterback, if you hit on quarterback, no one will remember what you traded to get them if they hit. Like you trade up and get a quarterback who turns out to be a great quarterback, no one's going to remember anything about what you traded.
Yeah.
When the Niners traded to Tampa Bay and got Steve Young for a guy who's going to sit behind Montana. Do we even remember what they gave up? Because if they gave up anything that significant, that nobody knows about it now and nobody cares, right? So I would just say this: if they trade picks and trade draft capital to move up to get Mendoza, they better be right. And my reaction will be, ouch, 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 punch in the stomach, because I always get that punch in the gut when I see that we gave up draft picks. I hate it, right? As a guy who loves the draft. But then I'll just root really hard and hope it's the right move, and if he ends up being a great quarterback, there's no such thing as you traded too much. Because once you get that great quarterback, now it's just okay. Now just spend the next 3 or 4 years, however long it takes, 1 year, 2 year, 3. You just do the best you can. You give them all the players you can, but you're there, like you have the quarterback, and that's what you need, And it's such an important thing. And if you believe that you found the quarterback, if you fully believe he's the guy, and then the offer is there for you, and you know what you have to give to get him, and you believe he's the guy, I would question their judgment to not go and do it. Like if you really believed he was the guy, why didn't you just do it? Because for 40 years, man, waiting for the guy.
Yeah. And I think if he is the guy, whether it's 2 1s or 3 1s, 3 1s and change, I don't think it'll be beyond 3 1s and change. Also, it depends on where we are, but like if they believe he's the guy, I don't think it will matter the price. I mean, yes, it's 5 1s, but it's also just 1 1 Sauce and Quinnen. That's where we get hung up. I feel like we loved Sauce and Quinnen, but if you told us a few months ago, hey, take your first round pick and just put Sauce with it, and you can have a quarterback, I think we would all do that. It's just now that we have all the picks, we struggle with spending them, and it's like
I gotta say
really,
that Charles' recipe for failure is completely wrong. And I'll give
okay,
2
let
arguments.
me bring it up.
I'll give you 2
Can you
arguments.
read it? Can you read it first?
He's saying recipe for failure: draft a quarterback before you have a good roster and start him immediately. Okay, Troy Aikman. Okay, you're wrong because of that. Peyton Manning, you're wrong because of that. Like, you want to go through history and say why this is just wrong, but here's why it's really wrong. Because it's not a bad roster in the way you're thinking. The defense is completely irrelevant to a young quarterback when you bring in a young quarterback. What you don't want to do is bring in a young quarterback and have him play behind a terrible offensive line with no weapons. That would not be the case on the Jets. Yes, it might be shootouts. He's not going to get it's not complimentary football. He's not going to have a good defense. He's going to have a decent, respectable offensive line because they are. He has 2 good tackles. They'll probably shore up center. I'm sure they're going to do moves to get even a little bit better. He's going to have Garrett Wilson. He's going to have Mason Taylor, who's a respectable tight end. They're going to add a little to that. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but it's not the same situation as when you bring in a guy to a 1-15 team or whatever it is that has a terrible offensive line and no weapons, and like Tennessee, right? It's not the situation that Cam Ward is stuck in Tennessee. It's simply not. So that's why I disagree with it. And also, there's arguments where you can bring in a quarterback if he's mentally tough enough to handle it, where he struggles the first couple of years or year because he has a terrible team around him. But we're not even putting him in that situation. We wouldn't be putting Mendoza in a situation like that. We'd be giving him a respectable offensive line at worst, and we'd be giving him, Garrett Wilson or whatever that. And to Rusty Spooner's point, I'm like everybody else screaming for them to hire a veteran coach. If they draft Mendoza, I am 100% in agreement that they have to get a better quarterback coach. And I've said it here. Give them the assistant coach title as in a justification for paying them outrageous money. But I am 100% in agreement. That more important than the team and the roster. Yes, you must bring in a veteran coach.
I am with you. I also think they do. Period. Like I think they do. Come on. Like they do. They will. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think Charles is just trying to trigger you, Jeremy, because here he is again, counter argument. Any Browns draft pick quarterback. Counter argument.
Look, they maybe didn't have the coach, or they didn't have the offensive line. I mean, or they didn't pick the right quarterback. Because, I mean, like, because Baker did good there and got them to the playoffs. They just gave up on Baker too soon. They played him hurt. He didn't play well hurt, and they got rid of him. They gave up on Baker. He wasn't bad. I liked Baker. Baker was, you know what I mean? I thought Baker was a good quarterback. I thought they'd done him wrong. I thought they did him dirty. But some of that could be, if you look at a lot of the guys they picked, they didn't pick the right guys. But again, to me, it's the coach. Like, you got to make sure you have the right coaching staff, but that's whether you're good or you're bad. Whether the roster's good or not, you have to have good coaching. You want to be able to do your quarterback. But if you have a chance to take a quarterback, you don't say, "Oh, our roster's not good enough. Let's pass on quarterback." That's ridiculous. We've been waiting 40 years to find one. If you found one, you're going to pass on them? Like, you're going to say, "No, we're not going to take the quarterback. We'll wait till next year till our roster's better." Like, really? When you find the quarterback, you get the quarterback. When you find him and he's there for you, then you take him. Now, we might be in agreement that doesn't, trading up for him is a different argument. And I clearly said I am perfectly okay with them not trading up to grab Mendoza. Like, I'm perfectly okay with that. Like, if they don't want to trade up to get him because they don't think he's enough of a sure thing, whatever the reason, fine. But if they really like him and they believe he's the best quarterback in the draft and they really love him and he's sitting there, you think they should in the room say, "Yeah, but we're not ready yet. Maybe next year there'll be a quarterback that we really like also, and the roster will be better."
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. It's not even something I could do. I don't want to. I'm not. You're entitled to your opinion, Charles. But to me, it's a ridiculous argument. Like, sit him for the year then, if you don't want him to be out there. Sit him, but get that guy. If the guy is there, you get him. You don't just not take him and say, "Oh, well, he's not ready." You're saying he had Hall of Fame coaches. Fine. If Aaron Glenn isn't the guy, then you hire another coach and you have Mendoza to attract the coach. Right? Like, so now we have to wait until we have a Hall of Fame coach? Did they know that was a Hall of Fame coach, Dallas, in 1989? Did they know he was a Hall of Fame coach? He was a college coach. He was a rookie in the NFL coach. They didn't know he was a Hall of Fame coach. So what are we talking about?
Talking nonsense, I think.
I mean, get the good quarterback, and then guess what? You could get the good coach. You can get any coach in football when you have a great quarterback. You take Mendoza, and then if you fire Aaron Glenn, you know how many people, the best candidate is going to be lining up, because that's what you do, right? If I'm a coaching candidate and I'm the hot property that everybody wants, I'm going to look at the team with the best quarterback, because that's what they do. They look for the quarterback. So it just doesn't. I mean, I'll never agree with it. I don't get upset anymore. I know you're thinking he's trying to get me. I don't get upset anymore.
Yeah, take that. Take that, Charles.
No, I mean, no, he's totally entitled to his opinion. It doesn't upset me. I'm just saying, like, I've waited for 40 plus years. I mean, Chad Pennington was close, but he got hurt and tore his rotator cuff. Same thing with Ken O'Brien. I have suffered for over 40 years. So I will never, ever, ever, ever say that you should not take a quarterback you believe is a great, going to be a great NFL quarterback because you say the team's not ready. Right. That is just, I will never, ever agree with that. I don't care if you have the chance to grab a quarterback you believe is going to be a great NFL quarterback. You absolutely 100% do it. If you think he's a guy that might be good under the right circumstances, then you don't do it. Then you might not be in a position to draft that quarterback. If you don't believe in him enough and you think that everything has to be perfect, then sure, don't draft him. But if you believe he's the guy, you take him.
I am with you. The only question I might have is, if you don't get the quarterback coach that you want this offseason, which will happen first, if you don't get the one you want, but you got an eye on another the following year, are you opposed to drafting the guy and, as Infrared wants to do, just sitting him, half the season, all the season, whatever, taking him now while you got him, and then retooling in 2027, you get the quarterback coach, you get a full offseason of prep and go from there? Or do you just say, you know what, having him in here for a season with the wrong quarterback coach is not a good idea?
I I would base who I would base what I would base if whether when you start the rookie quarterback based on when you think they're ready. Seattle Seahawks signed a guy, what was his name, Flynn from Green Bay, to a giant contract to give him all kinds of money. And then in the third round, they drafted Russell Wilson. The expectation was Russell Wilson was just we really like this guy. He might be good. We signed this quarterback. If he doesn't work out, we got the young guy. You know, they were throwing two darts. We have two chances to hit. Russell Wilson came and shocked the world. He played better than, he was better than that guy, the Flynn or whatever the hell his name was. He was better. And he won the job, and they ended up getting a Super Bowl. They two NFC championships, two Super Bowls, won one, lost one. So it's hard to argue that, to me, like if sometimes a guy wins the job, but I would go in with a plan that doesn't require the quarterback to play from week one. Have a plan, have somebody in that camp, have a quarterback ready that, could come in as a plan instead of the rookie. I know that they signed Matt Flynn. Oh, not traded, you mean? So they didn't trade for Matt Flynn. They signed him. I know that he wasn't drafted by them. He played for Green Bay, and he had one good game at the end of Green Bay's season in a nonsense game and threw for 300 yards, so everyone got excited about him.
But they drafted Russell Wilson, right? That was your point.
They signed Flynn and drafted Russell Wilson, and they ended up starting Russell Wilson game one, and people were like surprised by that. And Pete Carroll said, and he's always stuck by this, every job is a competition, and he won the job. That was it. He just came in and he won the job.
So we do have some good questions coming in, Chaos, that I want to pose to you. Don't feel that, you don't have to answer them. I just want to get your thoughts on them. But if you want to throw them back at me, that's fine too. Or if you want to just
know a lot too.
Yeah, if you want to plead the fifth, that's fine as well. I'm just trying to keep it rolling here. Don't think I'm trying to pass the buck at all, please. Alan, good buddy of the show, Alon, if you know Alon, I think you pronounce it Alon, Chaos, but Double A, we'll call him. The Jets can't be stupid enough to trade 3 top 50 picks for a mid quarterback like Mendoza. Too many impatient Jet fans. Jeremy, anything you want to add to that?
I don't want them to trade 3 top 50 picks. So I'm not.
Well, some in the chat do. So I think he's talking to them. You know what I mean?
But calling him a mid quarterback like Mendoza, he might be right, he might be wrong. What I don't like is people who think they know. Like people who think that that they somehow are special and they know more than everybody else. I openly admit Mendoza could be a bust because I've learned that with the quarterback position, you don't really know. Nobody, not even Alon, would have known that Tom Brady was going to be good. If he says he did, he's lying. He didn't know, right? And it happens all the time. Nobody knew. He did not know that Dak Prescott was going to be a good quarterback. And I'm not saying he's a great superstar. I'm saying, but he's obviously very good, right? Because he got that huge contract. So it's not about understand that you think he's a mid quarterback, and that's fine. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft, but he's not generational, and that's fine. Some people might think he's generational, and that's fine. What we all think means nothing. What the reality is, it's what the Jets think. It's what that drafting group thinks. Those draft guys, that team, that general manager thinks. And then what they think, if they believe he's the guy, how good do they think he's going to be? And what is the value that you're willing to trade? Now, I personally think to trade 3 top 50 picks, you'd have to be very convinced he's a generational quarterback. I don't see him as generational. I like him the best. He's the guy I would want. but I don't see him as generational. So I would not trade 3 top 50 picks either. But if they honestly see him as generational, I guess we'd have to wait and find out if they're wrong or right. And if they're wrong, they were really stupid. If they were right, then who was stupid? Like, you know what I mean? It just, at that point, it becomes if you're right or not. But I don't want to see 3 top 50 picks go to one player.
Yeah, me either. And Alan chimes in. He says, but the difference is there are Jet fans that want to trade the farm for him. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't. I'm not there. I also think that Ty Simpson, I watched his game this weekend, and to me, he is not even a viable prospect for us at this moment. Call me crazy. I'm out on him. Okay? I'm out on him. Sorry. If Dante Moore comes out, do I trade much less to go to 2 or to 3 to get him? Yes, I do. But at the same time, if he doesn't, and it's Mendoza for 3 top 50 picks or wait, I mean, this is after free agency, mind you. I'm projecting. I don't know what we got in free agency. Did we get a 2 of Mariota and Russell Wilson and all that? Like, can we live for a year with a better supporting cast? That factors into this. If we have nobody and we have to go Mendoza or bust, maybe. But otherwise, I don't want to spend that much either. I don't, because what are we talking? Like, we're paying 3 1s because we won one more game than we should have. Dude, that's tough. It is. But at the same time, if that's all we got, I think I'm waiting, man. I am. Just because I think that it's not about building the best team in 2026. And that's what we gotta we need to realize that. We're not building the best 2026 team. We're building the best 2027 Jets team. We're building the best 2028 Jets team. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The stupidity was, and I agree with a lot on this, was like, here's an example of stupid. The San Francisco 49ers traded a haul of picks to move up for Trey Lance. And here's what was so stupid about it. He wasn't even their number 1 guy. He was their number 3 choice. If San Francisco had a choice of anyone, they would have taken Trevor Lawrence. And if they had their number 2 choice, it was Zach Wilson. They tried to trade with us because they wanted Zach Wilson. They took their 3rd guy. They traded a haul of picks for their 3rd guy that they talked themselves into because he was a great athlete. Playing at North Dakota against terrible teams on a running team that ran all over people. And once in a while, Trey Lance would run around and just throw to a wide open guy cutting across the end zone. That was his highlight tapes. Throwing to Chris Watson, wide open, 50-50 throws to Watson. And they took all that draft capital and said, he's a great athlete. Man, we could probably coach him up to be a great quarterback. The only reason they saved their job was because they got Brock Purdy. That saved their job, getting Brock Purdy. Otherwise, they were going there. That was without Brock Purdy, they're the laughingstock of the NFL. Right? Like, it's like, so I agree that it is stupid to be desperate for a quarterback and trade that kind of draft capital. And they had the excuse that they had a good roster. Like, the Niners were good. With us, it would be even stupider, and I agree with a lot on this too, because we have so many holes on this roster, right? We need so many things. So you're going to trade all those picks on a roll of a dice? Like, so the only way they should do this trade is if they actually believe like he's their first choice. They think he's God. They think he's like walks up like he shits gold. Like, that's what they would have to think. And if they did it and they traded a lot and went up to get him, I would be really surprised. I'd be very surprised. And what would I be left to do as a fan? I could come into chats. I could come on the show. I could yell about it. I could curse about it. Or I could sit there and say, boy, I hope they're right. For the sake of the Jets, for the sake of my fandom, for the sake of my sanity, I hope they're right. Facts,
man. You're preaching today, brother. I'm letting you cook because everything you said hits with me as well. I do want to get to this question because it's from a friend of both of ours, and I don't know how long he's with us, but from Johnny Boy, worldwide, wide. With Cook, he says, with Cook playing now, are we truly going to see how good this OC can be? Truly see how he can adapt to a rookie quarterback. Does that mean anything for us drafting the next guy? Basically, how Engstrand does with Cook. Can we use that? Is that viable intel for Engstrand with Mendoza, with Moore, with a 2027 guy?
How would we know if anybody can get something out of Cook? We're talking about an undrafted free agent. Like, so how do we know if anyone could? That's the problem. Like, let's say we get nothing out of him. How do you know it's the coach's fault? He'd have to go to another team and be really good for us to know and say, well, why were they able to do it? Right? And I mean, I could see it from the perspective of somebody who thinks Brady Cook is really good. So then you're going to blame the coach. You're going to say, he's really good. It's the coach's fault. But in reality, as somebody who's not making that claim, I'm going to say Brady Cook. I don't know. I know that no NFL team wanted to draft him. Not one. They didn't want to spend a 7th round draft pick on him. Nobody wanted him. We signed him as an undrafted free agent. So I have no idea if you can judge an offensive coaching staff on a undrafted free agent quarterback and their ability to develop a quarterback based on Brady Cook. I just don't know. But if he went to another team next year, let's say we cut him and he went somewhere else, and he looked great and they would start developing him into a star, that would be some evidence against us.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened either. At least not. Maybe it would be for a day 3 quarterback. But Johnny Boy, he follows up and he says, "Are we completely sold on Tanner?" That's what I'm more worried about, if I'm being honest.
I don't know yet. I can't judge Tanner in 1 year, especially with this freaking roster. It's really hard to judge him with this roster. I can tell you he called some really nice plays. And there was a lot of plays when Justin Fields was the quarterback, sitting there taking those sacks where guys were open. I mean, it was like he schemes people open. There are open receivers. But there's also been plays that have upset me and been very frustrating. So it's very, very difficult to know. I mean, again, I find it's very hard to evaluate an offensive coordinator when you've only seen him with one roster, and that roster does not have. We have 3 backup quarterbacks. I mean, is there any other way to say it? Like, we don't have a legitimate starting quarterback on this roster.
I think anybody who has watched the Jets the last couple months would agree with that, Jeremy. We do have 3 backup quarterbacks. We have maybe less and even more QB3s. We saw Zach Wilson today. Jeremy, can I please get your thoughts on the Zach Wilson Miami Dolphins experience you got?
All he did was he pitched the ball to his running back well. Somebody asked the question in the chat during that, saying, who would you rather have at quarterback next year, Zach Wilson or Justin Fields? And I shut up right away because I said, I don't know if it's worth the attacks if I say it. Like, I know what I would do. I know who I'd pick. But then the chat was very heavy Zach Wilson. And then I think Green Bean made the point. When Justin Fields is bad, it's 12 yards net passing. When Zach Wilson was bad, it's 130 yards. It's like, that was a bad day for him. We used to call him, oh, he's just a game manager. They're winning because of the defense. But he still had 130 yards, 140 yards. He wasn't under 100 yards ever, I don't think. Maybe once. But he threw some interceptions, though. So you can make that argument. But I kept my mouth shut because I said, I don't want 100 people to be cursing me out right now. Like, there's no winning answer on that. When someone says a question like, who would you rather have, Zach Wilson or Justin Fields? Whichever one you pick, 100 people are going to come at you. And I said, I'm just not in the mood for that.
Yeah, fair. I think the first drive he had was 6 plays. 6 plays, which is most than we had in the first quarter and a half. Excuse me. 6 plays, a whopping 7 yards, and a whopping 3 points. More than we had again. So, hey, you're right. 6 handoffs, 7 yards, 3 points. I don't know about the second drive because it was very hard to watch after that. But, yeah, is it worth going against, eye to eye with the Zach Wilson truthers? I don't think so. What I do know, Jeremy, is we just set a record in the Danger Zone. 37 people watching us on YouTube, brother.
We got 42 right now.
42! Look at this! Appreciate you, 42 wild animals. Yeah, appreciate you guys watching us on a Sunday night, Jeremy. Chop it up about this disgraceful performance.
I don't know why we're not at 100. With a host like you, I have no idea how we're not at 100. It's got to be me keeping them away. I'm sorry.
I disagree strongly, but we'll leave it there. I do know what I do know is the call-in line is pinned if you want to chime in on the conversation. What I do know also is that not everybody has hit the like button. I also know that 30% of my watch hours come from people not even subscribed, which isn't 30% of the views, 30% of the watch hours, which means people are just lurking. Just throw a sub, man. Just throw a sub, throw a like button. It will not kill you, especially when we're seeing the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs crumble in our purview, if I might say. That might be too soon to say, but the chat's chopping it up rather heavily about how the Chiefs are choking this. I don't know if you've seen any of that. I haven't seen much of the game, not going to lie, but the Texans are rolling, man. Just like to say the Texans are rolling. Hey, the Finns today that beat our ass have now won 5 out of 6. So let me ask you that. Does that mean anything? As bad as they look compared to, they're right there with us. Does it mean a little more knowing that they started terrible like us, but they're catching more fire than we are at this stage?
I mean, it's nice when I think it's just about hope, right? You never want to be have to say we have to do something that's never been done before. So it's like going into next year. I'm not expecting this to be a 1-year rebuild and we're a playoff team next year. I'm not expecting it. But as far as how could you have hope? Well, we don't know what's going to unfold in the offseason. We have no idea what that's going to look like. But seeing it happen, you know what I mean? It just gives the hope. And then the hope for me is I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I hope we make the playoffs next year. I hope we make the playoffs next year. What I'm hoping is that we're much better next year. That's what I'm hoping, that we're much better, noticeably better, heading strongly in the correct direction, right? That's what I'm hoping for. If no team has ever been looked like us, you know what I mean? The fact that we see these other teams have been bad, and then they get the next year they look much better, and then all of a sudden they're winning 10+ games, and they're a playoff team, that's the hope.
Yeah.
That it's not we're not into this kind of dead end kind of jail that there's no chance that it's ever going to end. And I know it's been 15 years and I know that sucks, but I've been around for over 44 years and I've seen this team suck and then build and become a winner. I've seen it. I've lived it a few times. So I know it's going to end. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be this go around even. But I know it's going to end because it always has, and it always does.
Been around for 44 years, folks. Very hard to do if you're 40 years old like Chaos. But let me segue to our first super chat of the night, Chaos. And I did set a live stream goal of one super chat, just setting the bar at a respectable level. One super chat. The super chat said, if we get one super chat, then Chaos will take his shirt off. No pressure, but despite that goal, Joe the Jet G still super chatted. I didn't scare him away. $4.99 actually. He said, "I'm worried about the Raiders going #1 and taking Mendoza. Giants and Titans have to get #1. Love the show, guys. God bless."
No, it's nice. Nice thing to say.
It is. It is very. Joe the Jet G.
And thank you for giving Dana the super chat. He deserves it. This channel deserves it. Like giving this, help him pay for the cost of this stuff, this tech. It's not, it's like, it's appreciated. Help him out.
Thank you. Thank you. And I do appreciate it. It's not often, too, that we get a solid question followed by some love. Joe the Jet G, as I assume you like to be called. Appreciate you, brother. $4.99, too. A lot of people do $1.99. Appreciate the $5. Are you worried about let's flesh this out real quick. I know we don't have a ton of time, but I just want to ask you about the Raiders because I kind of teased it earlier. I'm like, I don't know if Pete Carroll survives this season. Where are you there? And then also, are they keeping Geno? Do you have to be worried about the Raiders being in front of us? Are they in the quarterback market? Any direction you want to go with this? I think Joe wants to talk, though.
I mean, they might follow the Charles mentality. Not there's not a poke at you, Charles. They might follow the Charles because I don't think Charles is the only person in the world that makes this claim, right? I think that there's a chance that teams might believe this is not the year we should take a quarterback for the Raiders. This is the year we should trade down, see if anybody, and get more picks to do what Alon wants the Jets to do. Maybe the Raiders are going to say, we have a million needs. We suck. Let's trade down and get a haul of picks and start building up this team and live with Geno Smith. There's also the possibility that they're going to jump all over Mendoza. There's a chance they're going to jump all over Ty Simpson, or there's a chance they're going to jump all over Dante Moore if he comes out, depending on who they like. So there's a chance that, yes, they're going to be very quarterback hungry and want to get their quarterback. But I'm not saying that Charles was saying anything that no one would ever think. I'm not saying that all 32 teams would agree with me on grab the quarterback. We've seen teams that need a quarterback pass and not take one. Maybe because they didn't like one, maybe because they wanted to build up the roster first. So it's not impossible. We don't know what the Raiders are going to do. I know that I would expect them, if they had the #1 pick, to take a quarterback. And if they see the field the way I see it, they'd probably take Mendoza if they saw it the way I saw it. But I have no idea if they see it the way I see it. No idea. They might love Dante Moore. They might love Ty Simpson. I don't know.
Yeah. And also 2 weeks from now, they might be sitting in the driver's seat with the 1 pick. Or they could be, look at how many teams have 3 wins, man. It is so hard to project. As you guys know, the strength of schedule means nothing for the tiebreakers. All it's telling you is how hard that team's remaining schedule is. So, Raiders, Giants, Tennessee, I think they all have, it looks far apart, but it's all the same, man. If one of these teams wins a game, if 2 of them win a game and 1 doesn't, they're going to be the #1 pick.
Everything changes. It's 4 games to go. There's so much.
Yeah.
We just don't know yet.
We don't
know how this is going to unfold.
And it would not at all shock me if the #1 pick in the draft belongs to a 3-win team. Is that a hot take?
It's very possible, because it's very possible that these 3 teams on top will win one. The team with the least chance to win another game is Tennessee. If you look at the record, their schedules, right? Tennessee has the least chance to win another game. I would say, I think personally, the Giants, assuming they're not tanking on purpose and they're all trying, I think the Giants have the best chance to win a game. I think they're the best team out of these 3. sometimes the way that teams tank without letting the players, know or whatever is they might just shut Dart down. They might say, "We don't like the way you're playing. You're reckless, and you had a concussion, and you've been banged up, and we're just no reason to risk you." And they might sit him, and that would be their way of tanking.
Yeah, yeah.
Although
Also,
Jameis Winston is no slouch, he might be better. So I don't know.
both guys were in studios today. Russell and Jameis were both. I think one was on Fox, one was on CBS. From what I read, the other one, Jackson Dart, was in the bed of a model ring girl. But we won't get into that. Seems like they were all somewhere though. Yeah, dude, the Giants are not looking bad. Vegas. What's curious about Vegas is it Geno? Is it the O line? Because my thinking on Vegas is their number one need is O line. Does that make their pick, viable? Not viable, buyable. I don't know. It depends on what we don't know. How much does Tom Brady think matter? How much is Pete Carroll going to be? If they fire Pete Carroll week 15, then all of a sudden you could do coach QB, same offseason, different story, a whole different thing. There's a lot not to know. And as Chaos said, we don't know enough right now.
By the way, just to correct something I said, I want to make really clear because I saw it in the comments. The Giants are not going to tank. The Giant, like I was just giving an example, if they wanted to tank, the Giants are 100% not going to tank. The GM's job is he's on the hot seat. There's the coach is playing to be a real coach in this league. He's a serious name in this league. They're not tanking. They're going to play with all their heart. The Giants are going to do everything they could win, as much as they could win, and salvage as much as they could salvage.
I don't know if you believe that, Jeremy.
This one? Let's hope it's just this one or what I just said.
What you just said.
No, because they're not taking a quarterback. So, teams don't tank if they're not looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, typically. Fair.
Like, there's no one to tank for. Why would a team? They care? They're going to get a great position player, whether they pick the 4th, 5th, or 6th pick. Because of the quarterbacks that go on the top, there's tons for them. Like there's no reason to tank. I'm sure they want to play hard and turn the culture around. They want to get some wins. They're the last team I would expect to tank on purpose.
If I had to ask you today, December 7th, knowing as little as you and I know right now, out of these 9 teams, who can you identify as possibly tanking down the stretch?
Like to say we're going to lose on purpose. I think Vegas, if they decided they love Mendoza or Ty Simpson or not, I think that Vegas, I think Vegas would be the one because of the owner. I think if you say it, because it's about character too, right? Because we might want tanks and all that, and that's fine. I'm not putting down the fence, right? But to be the owner, to have an organization, and to actually lose on purpose, like Harlan is saying no one wants to tank, jobs are on the line, but Miami did. The Miami GM and the owner told Flores to lose. That's why he was fired, because he refused to tank. He refused to lose on purpose. They told him to lose. They did that. So if you're asking me who's the owner out of these owners that would tell their organization in a locker room you have to lose, it would be this guy Davis, the son of Al Davis. That's who I think would do it, because he's such a low life. He's horrible to his fans. He moves the team this way and that way. He doesn't give a darn damn about his fan base. He didn't give a damn about Oakland. He didn't give a damn about LA. He did whatever was good for him. This is all my opinion, but I think it would be if one of them, I don't think any of them are going to want to, but I don't think NFL teams, I think we should always assume that they would never do that. But if one was to do it, it would be Vegas, in my opinion.
What about, okay, so is that the only one? Like if they shut down Jaden Daniels, does that scream tank to you?
I mean, it's hard to prove it. They might shut down Jaden Daniels because they want to preserve his career, right? Like they don't want him getting hurt. They don't want him playing if he's not completely healthy. I mean, like we don't know because a lot legitimately, without saying, "Oh, we're tanking to get a better draft pick," there are teams that shut players down because they're thinking of the future and they just simply don't want to put them in harm's way. Like they might say, "This guy's getting beat up. He's had a couple of injuries. We're shutting him down." Until we fix the problems on this team and maybe offensive line, until we can protect them better, we're shutting them down. And it's legitimate to do that. It doesn't mean you're tanking to get a draft pick. Sometimes you do that. Like we might shut down Garrett Wilson. That wouldn't be us tanking. That would be us trying to protect Garrett Wilson.
You sure about
that? No, I'm not sure about anything. Everything we do is speculation. That's what this show is, bro.
I know. No, because when you were talking about, I was thinking Garrett Wilson, and I was going to ask you that next, and then you brought it up. I'm like, shit. But who knows? That a lot of people say teams don't tank. Even Harlan said it in the chat. Teams don't tank. I don't think they actively call plays to lose. But I do think there are some ways, Chaos just outlined them a lot with the IR, with the injury report. If you have to shut down a guy to look more toward next year rather than this year, I think that's a way of tanking. You shut down a guy that that can play a few more games, Garrett Wilson, Jaden Daniels. I think there's other ways of doing it as well. We'll get into those, I'm sure, this off season at the end of the yes, we got eliminated from the playoffs, but there still is some good football conversation to have. A couple weeks from now, I'm sure we'll go straight into the draft talk. We talked a little bit about today's game first and then went into it. I'm sure that wick will get shorter and shorter. Troy Flett, welcome to the channel. I don't think I recognize you, so I appreciate you joining us. He asked, who's projected to be the top quarterbacks in 2027 besides Sayan and Manning? Hopefully this graphic is somewhat accurate. It was taken maybe 6 weeks ago, so some of these 2026 guys are going to shuffle over to 2027. Some of the 2027 will not even be like first and second round guys, but this should hopefully give you kind of a broad stroke view of what the landscape is looking like. Like I said, Chaos, this is an old graphic. Is there anything that you would just like to say right now is inaccurate?
No, I don't see anything out. I mean, I have opinions. Like I think Lenora Sellers, if he's smart, is going to stay in school. Because he's not ready. And I don't know. And he has the kind of, I guess, certain athleticism and talents that if he waits until he's ready, he could go much higher in the draft than I think he would if he comes out now. So I think he jumps out as a guy who I think is going to be 27. We don't know about Dante Moore, right? I think Jaden from USC, I think he's gonna stay in school too, would be my guess. Like if I had a guess, I think those guys are gonna stay in school, but I don't think I think it's legitimate to list them in 26 though, because they're eligible. And until they announce, we don't know.
If the guys you mentioned, Sellers, Mayava, if they don't come in 2026, are they surefire 2027s?
Well, they're coming out and they're going to be drafted. They're definitely. I don't know if they're first rounders. We'll see how good they are. If Linares, if Linares Sellers doesn't improve, I don't think he's a first round pick. There are people who might think he is now. I think that's crazy. I just don't. To me, you have to prove that you could drop back and pass consistently.
But yes, I thought he was Timu Lamar.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody's saying. He's Lamar. He's Lamar. He's Lamar. That's such a dangerous risk because, you can't just base it on his that he speaks strong arm and can run well, because we've had a lot of those guys bust. Lamar is an outlier. He's not the norm for a guy that comes in with his credential, because I just think that people look at it the wrong way around. Like, I love mobility. I think it's great if you can run and make and add a whole different element to your offense. That's what makes Josh Allen and Lamar so good. And even Patrick Mahomes. I mean, like, that's what makes them top, right? Like, this ability to run. But first, to me, you have to check the box that you could pass. Like, otherwise, I'll just put a running back at quarterback, right? I mean, you have to show me that you could be a quarterback. In my opinion, the guy I want is a quarterback. The secondary thing is, boy, it'd be great if he was mobile. Like, if he could be a dangerous running back also and be really dangerous, that's a wonderful thing. But it only means anything to me if you prove to me, and I'm confident you could be an effective pocket passer.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I also saw Lenore Sellers, and I was like, yeah, probably fine if he stays. Just to answer the question I had on the screen, we don't know. Dante Moore could return. Like, there are several of these guys that may return. It's very hard to tell at this stage.
I also think that we're
Very
missing some guys on that 26 thing. And I mean, they're not top-notch guys anymore. But I think that you could see Sawyer and Drew Aller still in the top 3 rounds of this draft, if not the top 2 rounds.
Ooh, Drew Aller, a guy that I was high on last year.
Not,
Very
not
good.
not as a top-notch first-round pick anymore, right? He's lost that. But I mean, a third round day 2 pick or day 3 pick, like, he's going to get drafted. He does have a cannon for an arm. He is big
He
and strong,
does.
and he's a strong runner, and then, so I mean, I'm just saying there are other guys too that might end up being the shockers, the surprise guys.
Agreed. Meanwhile, I said I was high on Aller last year, Jeremy. Scott is telling me I was high last year. So apparently not a Nittany Lion Aller fan, or maybe he's just calling me out. I don't know. But
I mean, it would be a mistake to take him. Like it would be a mistake to take him as a day. Like, I wouldn't take him on day 2. I'm talking about, like, but if you take any quarterback you take in the 4th round, if you like him, if a team likes him, there's only so much you can complain. It's like a 4th round, 5th round pick. Who cares? They like him, whatever. But if you use our 2nd round pick, our 44th pick in the draft on Drew Aller, I've got a problem with that. Right? Because that really does become, not that I'm comparing him, he's nothing like Hackenberg as a player, but that's a Hackenberg situation. You know what I mean? That's a Hackenberg situation. Because, like, sometimes you draft a guy in the 2nd round, what that does is not only do they not work out, but you don't take a quarterback the next year because you're waiting on that pick. Then that's the dangerous game about picking a quarterback on day 2. Is that you feel that you have to give him more time, and because you're giving him more time, you pass up on a quarterback the next year, kind of like the Jets didn't take Lamar Jackson. Or was it Patrick Mahomes? It was one of them. There was some guy we could have grabbed, but we didn't because we had Hack and shit.
hacking what?
Hack and shit.
I love it. I love it. Love the discourse as well with you, Jeremy. Peacock. All right, commercial break. Let us know in the chat, folks. Did the Chiefs win? Did the Texans win? Curious to, you know what? Actually, I can tell you right now, the Texans won.
That is means that right now it's the 18th pick. Then the pick that the Colts traded to us is now the first for this year. Next season is the 18th pick in the draft. When we first did the trade, it was like the 31st. It now is the 18th pick in the draft.
I'm not gonna lie, that's low key incredible. And I get how we got here, and I understand also that it was only a few weeks ago, and blah blah blah. But can we just take that as a win? shortly, like briefly? Can we just take that as today was a win?
Look, yeah, I mean the guy, as far as Sauce Gardner and everything, he's gone. Nothing's going to change that. So whether you're against the trade or for the trade, everybody wins. All Jet fans should be happy that when they made the trade, they were 7-1, and they were 7-1. It was the 31st pick or whatever it was in the draft, and now it's the 18th pick. That's good for all of us. It doesn't matter how you felt about the trade. All that matters is everyone is going to agree, and no one's going to argue that the 18th pick is better than the 31st or 32nd pick. Right? So on paper right now, when you do your little mock drafts, it's a lot more fun to get the pick at 18. It's a lot more fun. There's a lot of players there at 18 that are not there at 30. So I'll take it. I'll take whatever good stuff we can get. That's good stuff. That's a beautiful thing. And you guess what? You know that Detroit's going to end up being better than Indianapolis, right? So, I mean, I would think Indianapolis has no quarterback right now. They have no quarterback, right? Daniel Jones is out. They got the kid from Notre Dame, 6th-round draft pick. And they got a tough schedule. They play San Francisco. They play Houston again, Jacksonville again, whatever. Look at their schedule. It's tough. Tough schedule. And they're going to drop further. They might not win a game the rest of this year. They might just win one. They might end up like 9-8.
Billy chimes in. That's a valuable pick at pick 18. Hey, man. Agreed. I just want to ask you, Jeremy. There's a comment here that I thought would pique your interest. Slow Runner 14. I recognize the picture. I can't think of the display name at this moment, but the handle is Slow Runner. He says, Jets should trade for Shador Sanders, Jeremy, and Glenn should hire Dion as the quarterback coach. What say you as we wind down?
I'm not convinced about Shador Sanders yet to trade for him, but it's maybe he's good. I don't know. What would it take to get him? And would you actually trade up? And I don't know. Dion is a quarterback coach. I know people get mad that we have a running back coach that was a tight end coach, and how would they react to a coach that was a head coach and a defensive player, cornerback, and sometimes wide receiver coaching a quarterback? So I don't know. That's kind of a stretch for me, but I don't know. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So it's irrelevant. It's not going to happen. That's just a fun fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's not real.
Agree.
But nothing like that's ever going to happen.
Savage, Jedi, Rusty Spooner. Rusty, I'm just going to call you Rusty. Both Colts and Dallas have legit reasons to be terrible next year. We fleeced both of them.
Rusty's a draft guy like me, so of course he's going to feel that way. Like draft guys who love the draft, who prospect, who watch college football, we love it, right? It's a big part of our fandom. We value picks really highly, and I'm sure Rusty's already going to be, when we pick with that Dallas pick in the 2nd round that we got from Dallas, there's going to be some people on the board that Rusty loves, and he's going to be very happy this year. And then next year, man, for all those picks, we're all going to be happy. We're all going to love when it's time to actually pick those picks. We're going to be really happy. Who isn't? That's a beautiful thing. And then we have a 2nd rounder in 27 also. So, right. That makes it look like we don't have a 2nd round pick in 27. We do.
Correct. Yeah, correct. You know what? This list is so long. We had to cut off viable picks.
I consider everything up to and there are 3rd, 4th round picks that are valuable. I like 3rd round picks a lot, but 2nd round to me is nowadays premium. Like if you have a good GM that scouts well, 2nd round could be premium. Like you could get the best center. You can get one of the top linebackers. There are certain positions where you can get literally the top 5 of that position in the 2nd round because they don't typically go in the 1st round. Not a lot of safeties go in the 1st round. You get a great safety in the 2nd round. You get a great guard in the 2nd round, a great center in the 2nd round. You get a really great tight end in the 2nd round. There's a lot of positions that slip to that. And running back. You know, I don't know
Uh,
that. I don't know that we're gonna suck. I think it's. I mean, but if you had a gun to your head, Infrared, if you had a gun to your head, would you guess we were gonna win 5 to 7 games next year or 7 to 9 games? We know how Alon feels about it. He would say, "What the fuck are you talking about? We're gonna win 2 to 4 games."
well, I will say I know Infrared well enough to know that he was all aboard 7.5 wins this year. I can't speak on his win total for next year, but you know what? I'm not going to totally discredit this comment here, Infrared. I'm going to say yes, we're going to suck next year.
I mean, right now it
because,
looks like they're going to.
yeah, because even if we if we trade up from Mendoza, Infrared, you've been all over this chat, and I've been agreeing with you. If you draft Mendoza, you sit him for half, 2/3 of the year, right? So that's what, one, two, three first round picks to someone not even playing, right? Not even playing in 2026. So how do we get better without using those picks on people who are playing next year? You either get the quarterback and you suck in 2026 if you want to breed them right, or you say no quarterback and you fully invest in the rest of the team and you might win a couple more games. You probably will win a couple more games. But then you play the game of being telegraphed in 2027 because everybody and their mother is going to know we need quarterback in 2027 and we're going to be raked over the coals to get them. Do we care? That's a whole nother argument. But what I'm saying is that will happen. At least this year, you can, hey, do we want the guy? You can choose. Do you want him? Do you want to wait? The following year, you don't have that luxury. Heads will roll if you take nobody then. I'm just saying. Yeah, we are looking no better next year unless we pass on quarterback and are marginally better and then telegraphed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I. I can't.
Or 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 the Sauce Gardner Quinton Williams outgoing trades saved you so much cap room that you somehow find a quarterback that plays better than the average quarterback play that we had this year, and you wait on quarterback, you draft other pieces, then you might win 8 games. You might win 9 games even. But then, the aging quarterback you had, you're not going to strike lightning in a bottle twice. Like, we're just kicking a can down the road. And that's what Dom told me the other night. He's like, dude, you can do all these things. You can, be a puppet on strings to have the perfect scenario to where you are a better team without drafting a guy. But, dude, you need to draft a guy. At some point, you need to hitch your wagon, shout out Snowball, hitch your wagon to a quarterback. If not this year, next year, it's got to be. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, they got to get him. I don't care how they do it. We got to get a guy under center. I'd rather have it be a draft picks. I'd rather have it be the kind of quarterback that could be a 10-year guy. If they find a way to bring in a guy that's, just had his second contract, and I don't know who that would be, but if we just brought somebody in that was good and they got better and better, and like Seattle's experience with Sam Darnold, if you put that kind of situation together or whatever, where we had a quarterback, however it has to happen, even if we only had one for it was a 4-year, 5-year thing for this run. But I would, obviously my first choice is draft a guy and have your quarterback for the next decade. But, it's never happened. So I don't know. I have no right to expect it to happen now.
I agree with you, Jeremy. Also, I was eyeing the 2-hour mark, which we are 5 minutes away from, as like a stopping point. But what I will say is we have a caller for the first time tonight, Jeremy. Are
Okay.
you cool? Are you cool with squeezing one in?
We could definitely squeeze in a caller,
Oh, hey, you know what?
especially
This guy,
especially if it gets mossy.
good shout out. What I will say is this guy, first time caller to the Danger Zone. I'm sure he's called elsewhere because I mean most people have, but let's bring him in, see what he has to say. We need a little difference of opinion. He's in portrait mode, so give me a minute to fumble this around. But without further ado, I believe he goes by the name of Swamp Ranger.
Hey,
My
what's going on?
bodyguard.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Sweet, sweet. What's going on, guys? There's the hot topic of discussion these days is, do we trade up or do we not? And we could all beat the shit out of it. Excuse my French. We could all beat each other over the heads about this debate, right? But at the end of the day, the Jets are going to do what the Jets are going to do.
Yep.
I think they recognize, especially Aaron Glenn, he understands this media. He understands Woody Johnson. If he doesn't have success next year, they're done. You know what I mean? They're not going to make it 3-4 years. I think drafting a quarterback and showing signs of improvement will help their case to survive past that 3-year mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's my thing. I've been watching Mendoza all year. I love the kid. Yes, this team has a ton of holes that need filling. If they let's say they finish 5th overall, they strike a deal with the Titans or the Giants, who have number 1 overall. They move up. They give them the Colts pick and a second from, I don't know, either this year or next year. And they draft Mendoza and he sucks, right? You still got 3 firsts next year for this generational quarterback class that everybody's talking about. But I don't know. You guys hit the nail on the head. They have the foundations of a good offensive line. They need depth, like severe depth, because I'm pretty sure all their depth is not under contract next year. Wide receiver 2 they need. So there are many holes that need filling. But I'm more concerned about them getting the quarterback right than them drafting an all-world linebacker who's going to have an impact on the defensive side of the ball. I think if you get rid of Wilkes and draft a guy if you have your second round pick or whatever, right? You draft a guy in the second round, whether it's the guy out of Texas, I can't think of his name right now, or CJ Allen from Georgia, one of those types of guys. And you bring in a coach who knows how to coach. I'd take that with a Mendoza over a Sony Styles and a Carnell Tate with nobody to throw the ball to a Carnell Tate. You know what I mean? Like, you're not look, if the Jets draft Mendoza and he's a stud, I don't think they're winning many games next year anyway, because we have to play the AFC West and the NFC North. The only win right now with the current roster construction I see, if we were to retain Wilkes, if everything was the same, is the Raiders. And even then, it depends on when you get them. If it's later in the year when we can see that this team's abysmal, then you might chalk that up as a loss. But if you hit on a quarterback, which the only one I see being realistic is Mendoza, I'm just not sold on Dante Moore or Ty Simpson. They look like they just kind of crumble under pressure against serious opponents. The Jets are not going to be able to develop those guys. They might be able to be developed under a Kyle Shanahan or a Sean McVay, but not under a Tanner Engstrand second year with a running backs coach as a quarterbacks coach. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Mendoza has the lowest floor, right? But he also, he's not going to Lamar Jackson you with his legs, but I mean, the other night he had enough wheels to get past Sony Styles and Arvell Reese, these top, and that defense was loaded with first round picks. And he had enough wheels to make enough plays to win them the game. Joe Burrow he's like a Joe Burrow to me. The dude makes every throw. His receivers dropped a couple of those balls, which, someone in the chat was saying something about saying had a better stat line. Yeah, well, if Mendoza had Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith to throw the ball to, he'd be insane. You know what I mean?
That's why box scores mean nothing. You have to watch.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, dude, when it came to crunch time, I think I've watched 10 out of the 13 games that this guy played. The two big ones that I missed were Iowa and Penn State. But I watched him go into Eugene, Oregon. And when he had a full-on New York Jets moment where he threw a back-breaking, I believe it was a pick six, which Oregon tied the game off that play. He got the ball back and he went right down the field and scored a touchdown, like no questions asked. So to me, he's got a killer instinct, which you cannot teach. Like, you either have it or you don't. So the Jets are the Jets, but if I'm trading up for a guy, I'm cool with giving up the Colts pick and our 5th overall to move up to get this guy. And if you want to try to save a 2nd round pick, here's Will McDonald or Jermaine Johnson, because those guys suck for us anyway. You know what I mean? Just get rid of them and set 2nd round pick. They do. What did they do today? You know what I mean? What did they do last week? They're not.
I would say 100%. This is what I'll say to this. This is what I've been saying all night. I've been saying it all night. If they trade up and trade capital to get Mendoza, right? I'm not going to sit there and be mad. I'm not going to jump up and down. I'm going to simply say this: it better be right. That's it. They better be right. If they're going to give up that 18th pick, let's say, they better be right. He better be the guy. And if he is, I'll be really happy. If he isn't, I'll be really upset. I personally would, to be honest, though, inside, I would not be angry if they announced it. Let's say it comes down, the Jets trade their 18th pick and their 6th pick to move up to number 1. They take Mendoza. I would be excited. It would be a little bit of gutness, like someone punched me in the stomach for that 18th pick, but I would be excited and I'd be hopeful. And if he turns out to be the guy, I will never think about that 18th pick again.
No,
I never will.
You wouldn't care.
Wouldn't care.
And here's, if you don't take a QB, right, and you take a Sony Styles, a Carnell Tate, you load this team up with talent, right, and they don't win shit next year, the coach is going to get canned anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm trying to think how the Jets are thinking right now. I don't think getting a boatload of picks in 2027 as well is going to save Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn if they have another 3-14 season.
Let me ask you this. I do got to ask you this because, here we are, 3-10, and I think a large portion of that is how inept our quarterback play has been. If we get a Carnell Tate and a Sonny Styles, but all I'm trying to say is you have to pair them with something at quarterback, obviously. Right. What are the odds that we pair them with someone who is so bad that we do have another 3-15 year? I feel like the odds are slim. So does that soften your stance at all on not going quarterback if you know that damn near any quarterback you bring in via free agency is going to be way better than what we had this year?
I mean, who are we talking? I guess we're just saying enter random free agent quarterback.
Let's say Marcus Mariota.
I think you're gonna. Glenn could start losing, because he's not the guy permanently. So what's the team playing hard for this guy? That's where you start getting the quit factor in, because they're like this. He ain't the guy. Garrett Wilson, I think he's gonna want out. I mean, I'm surprised I love the dude. He's the heart of a champion, man. But if they don't get it right, he's gonna be wanting out. and he's going to find a way out. I don't know. That's a tough question, man. I'd rather take a quarterback. Now, I'm not doing something insane like here's the Colts pick, here's my the Jets second round pick in 2026, and here's another first from 2027. I'm not doing that, but I don't think it will cost that. And a lot of people in the chat, I'm sure you've seen it, are I want to win too. But when we were 0-7, the best thing for this team was to finish 1-16 and end up with the first overall pick. Winning 4, 5, 6 games is same old Jets, man. It just is. Like, it's not doing anything. You're not building a culture. What's the turnover on this current roster, right? Jeremy, you might know of who's under contract for next year. We're losing something like
We got like 30 guys. We got 30 guys.
30 expiring contracts. Yes.
So justification to keep your draft capital. 100% understand that. You want to plug those holes with top tier talent. I understand that. But look at a team like the Washington Commanders, prime example, right? They hit on a quarterback. They rode that high to the NFC Championship game. Okay. This year, they stink. All right. Jaden Daniels got hurt, but I don't follow the Washington Commanders, but they were almost like a one-hit wonder, I would call it. I could foresee Dan Quinn getting fired in the next 3 years. I could see that. Even though he went to an NFC Championship game, and Cliff Kingsbury could, the Raiders might come calling for him this offseason. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but what I'm getting at is the Jets need a quarterback. I'm just rambling, man. Too many TBIs. The Jets need a quarterback. They know they need a quarterback. Now, one thing that did kind of concern me, not to a big degree, was I thought Brady Cook, for a guy who was on the practice squad since the start of the season, came in when they were down 21-0, played well. I'm not looking at the stat line, tracking he threw 2 interceptions. All right. But his team did him no favors. All right. His 9 drops. John Mechie dropped a touchdown pass. How many first downs were dropped? I think he could play well getting starting team reps. And if Garrett Wilson comes back, then I could see the Jets going into New Orleans and pulling a win out last second with a field goal or something like that. But that is a double-edged sword because you're talking about draft positioning, but you're also looking at it like, well, now we have a backup who can compete with whatever rookie I bring in, and I don't need to pay a Marcus Mariota a 2-year, $20 million deal to come be my backup. I can use that money elsewhere, if that makes sense. Because if whatever quarterback they take, if he doesn't pan out next year and he looks like shot, we've seen it so many times before. Like I said, this regime's done. The fan base is going to turn. The media is going to turn. Woody's going to catch wind of that. He's going to start with firing like Muji or something but he likes Glenn, so we'll give him another year. And then the media is just going to have a field day with that scenario. So I don't know, man. I've got a wife who's a Panthers fan, and an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a soon-to-be 1-year-old. So I can't vent about the Jets to anybody in my household. So I appreciate you guys letting me call in and ramble about our putrid franchise.
Swamp, dude, epic call. Let me say that first before I highlight one chat or two. Appreciate you, man. We're here every Sunday night with Chaos. We're here on Friday nights as well. But, Modine has to chime in. I'm sure you know him from the chat. He says, lift some weights before you hang up. Do you even lift?
Yeah, I haven't in a while, man. I threw a disc in my back like a month ago, man. So it's been too long. But hopefully I can get right here in a couple of weeks. I go see the doctor this week coming up on Thursday. So
Okay.
Modine is not even allowed to bend over and pick up anything over 8 pounds. When you get to a certain age, it's very
Yeah.
difficult to do that.
Yeah, he can't even bowl, not even with a ladies' ball. So
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it, man. Swamp, dude, you're right though. We have to again back to the comment from when Dom C was here, man. You have to hitch your wagon to someone. You have to do it sooner than later, brother. I think you helped me realize that a little more than I was, man. Appreciate you calling in, man.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys.
It was nice to
Yep.
meet you. Thanks for coming in, Swamp. You're the
Yeah.
best.
I'll come pull security for you again, man, whenever you need.
Anytime. Be my security guy anytime.
That's right, man. All right. I'll talk to you
See
guys.
ya. See ya, Swamp. You know what? Straight into the next caller because we're running out of time. Unless you got to go, Chaos. I mean,
No,
if
I'm
you
good.
gotta
I'm
go,
good for this guy. Next guy. I'm good for this.
all right, because I mean, I can handle him, but I would rather have you here, man. You know.
No, it would be a mitzvah if I stay.
All right, let's bring him out.
First of all, I'm a big fan of Swamp. I know Swamp detested me for a while, but he came to his ways and he realized how smart I was. So let me explain my points here, okay? First of all, I think the Jets caught a huge break today with the injury to Daniel Jones to the point where now the Jets could truly slow play it, thinking the Colts don't have a quarterback set for 2027.
No.
So why did the Jets need to throw all that ammunition on a guy who I see as Kirk Cousins 2.0? Okay. I've watched Fernando 7 times this year. Okay. The reason I watched Indiana is more so I'm in love with the coach. I think the coach is one of the better coaches I've ever seen in any sport. Just his demeanor, his calm, cool, collected cockiness. He's just a great, great guy. I used to watch him at James Madison when I just think he's a brilliant mind. And what he's done at Indiana is one of the better coaching jobs in the history of not only college football, but all of sports. Okay.
You mean like you're in love with him as a coach or whatever?
As a coach.
You don't want
As a
to
coach.
out on
I
occasion.
said middle of the year when they were talking about canning Glenn, I had said many times I would have handed that guy the bag. I would have handed him right now the bag to be the head coach. That's why Penn State fired James Franklin early, because they wanted to give him a blank check. And when he re-upped with Indiana, they were screwed. And they had to go for their 5th guy in Matt Campbell. So here is my point, okay? I watched 7 games of Mendoza, and I'm going to point at 2 games in particular. I'm a huge Iowa fan. I'm going to point to that game, and I'm going to point to the Penn State game. I don't know if you've watched the Iowa-Indiana game. What Iowa did so well is they disguised their defense and basically attacked Mendoza on the edges and basically, thank you, I appreciate it, Rusty. Basically forced Mendoza to stay in the pocket, and they attacked him all over the place. If you watch that game, he was 13 for 23, threw a big pick in the 4th quarter. If Iowa actually had their starting quarterback the entire game, they would have beaten Indiana, okay? So I didn't really see
according to advanced stats, he had 2.2 seconds until he was under duress on every play, which is under what a quarterback is supposed to get.
He was awful in that game. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying, most college quarterbacks in under 2.5 seconds,
dreadful.
Even NFL quarterbacks in under 2.5 seconds is usually awful. That's all I'm saying.
If you look at the pick he threw to Zach Lutmer in the 4th quarter, they played him like a fool, and he threw that pick. I'm
not saying he played well. I'm saying
he was awful. Awful. He won the game because he had better receivers.
I know, but
Iowa has shitty cornerbacks.
I'm simply saying as a fact. I'm just giving information.
Okay. Did you watch that game?
Saying yes, had that game.
I think he's supporting your case. I think.
I'm giving both sides, but I agree he didn't play well in that game. And the reason I'm fine with it because there's no college quarterback I don't think I've ever seen in my life since I've been doing this the last 4 or 5 years that has not had bad games. But I'm saying that he had under 2.5 seconds per rep, according to advanced stats. and that typically even NFL quarterbacks don't play well when they have under 2.5 seconds. I'm not saying he couldn't have played better. I'm not saying that completely excuses the interception. I'm just giving context.
Okay.
That's just
The
real.
Penn State game, he was awful in that game. Okay. He had a great final drive. He was terrible in the first 3 quarters in that game. He missed throws all over the place in that game. Okay. And again, a lot of people are looking at Mendoza and they're looking at his final 2-3 minutes. And they've been great against Oregon, Ohio State, Iowa, and Penn State. Okay. He's come back and won big games. I get it. But you got to look at the entire body of work. Limited athletics. He's a guy who's going to struggle against defensive coordinators in the pros who are going to send backers all over the place to force him out of the pocket. He is going to struggle mightily, okay? And again, I have no problem if the Jets took Mendoza at the spot that they're picking. The idea that you're taking a guy who I believe, okay, at best is a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. At best. People are comparing him to Drake. Drake May is 20 times the quarterback as Mendoza is. 20. He is athletic to no end. He is a marvel when he throws the ball, and he also could run out of the pocket. So the idea that you're trading for first another point, the Jets are 3-10 with holes all over the place. They have 4 picks, let's say in the top 47, okay? 4 picks in the top 47. And there are guys, I'm not saying it's you guys, there are guys who continue to say, let's trade first this year and first next year. And they would trade the farm for a guy who I think is a high floor, low ceiling guy. And with the type of capital the Jets have, not only this year and next year, you have the ability to slow play the rebuild to the point where the Jets could look at 2026 with all that draft capital and $100 million in cap space where you could fill holes everywhere. Okay? Think about this. The Jets could draft Carnell Tate with their first pick. They could draft Sonny Styles with the Colts pick. So that's 2 guys that could start and could be stars for a guy that I think is a mid-level quarterback. I don't look at him as generational. I don't think he is generational.
Definitely not generational. 100% agree.
So
He's not generational at all.
So why are people telling me, I'm not saying it's you guys, I keep hearing
it's
go
not
all in. Like, think about this. If the Giants had the number 1 pick in the draft and the Jets call, you know what the package would be to go get that? They would ask for 4 first-round picks to go get it.
They would rake us over a
They
freaking
would
barrel.
rake us.
I'm surprised at something you said. You're saying if the Jets were at 6 and Mendoza was there at 6 and they took him, you wouldn't be mad?
I would not, because you're not adding assets. That's the problem. I don't want to add any assets.
Okay, so I'm just trying to say we're not that far apart on him.
We're not, but
at all, because you're saying that he could be justifiable as a number 6 pick, though.
He could be justifiable as a number 6, number 7 pick because you're not adding any assets. That's the problem.
I got it.
Okay. Here is the issue. And I keep hearing people say that. If Mendoza fails, if you draft him in the first round, you still have 3 first-rounders next year. So please, when people say, oh, Arizona took Josh Rosen and the next year they took Kyler Murray, that's totally not the organization I want to compare myself to.
And it's not a happy story.
Okay. And again, no owner is going to allow their GM to take quarterbacks back-to-back years in the first round without them losing their jobs. Okay? It's just not going to happen. The Jets have such a unbelievable opportunity this offseason with all that draft capital, with so many holes. You watched them today. Thank God I didn't. I was out of town. You couldn't pay me a pen. You couldn't pay me to put me in that building. And they lost 34-10 to a garbage team. Okay.
It was worse than that, though, too.
They have holes everywhere. And they can clean up in free agency. They can clean up in the draft. They can maneuver up from the 4th round to get a guy in the 3rd round and pick up a center.
Okay, stop. Let me stop you. Let me stop you.
They could trade back number 6.
All right, let me stop you. Sorry.
No, I'm saying of a real haul.
Joe the Jet G chimes in, $2 super chat. He wants to know who your dream quarterback is, Alan, in 2026, but I want you to factor in price.
Okay. I've looked at a couple of things. I know that Tanner McKee is up to his 4th year with the Eagles. So pretty much it's do or die. Okay. They've always said that they would like a day 2 pick. So if I were the Jets, I would call the Eagles. I would offer the Dallas 2nd round pick for Tanner McKee and one of their 3rds. Okay. Which is equivalent to a day 2 pick. Okay. That's the first thing. I would also pick a guy in day 2 or day 3 just to compete. Again, I'm blowing up this entire room. There's no one in this room that's coming back next year. Okay. Fields, you could post 6-1 him. That's totally fine. Tyrod Taylor is pretty much on his deathbed. We don't need to watch him anymore. And Brady Cook is a CFL quarterback. Okay. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's just not. Okay. I would rather slow play 2026 with the opportunity to have 3 first-round picks in 2027 when you have Manning, you have Sayin, you have Carr. I truly believe you'll have Moore as well. Okay. I think Moore is going to stay in school. So you're talking about 4 guys in the draft next year with 3 first-round picks and with Indianapolis in complete flux, not having a quarterback. You have no idea where they're going to finish. Okay. So why force the issue in 2026 when you have so many holes where you can fill all these holes, where you have an opportunity in 2027 to go get your quarterback, knowing that you have guys around him? Carnell Tate at pick 7, Sonny Styles at pick 18. Those are 2 immediate impact starters.
Why doesn't anybody love, what about Reese? Don't you love, why doesn't anybody like Reese?
Because I think Reese is going to go higher. I think Reese is going to be
good.
I think he's going to be the first defensive player in the draft. Okay.
I was scared that I was the only one that liked him.
Okay. And I'm not taking Jordan Tyson because that's D. Milner 2.0. I don't need a guy who gets injured every year. Okay. And I like the talent. I'm not taking him in the top 10. I would take Tate. I would take Styles. I use my 2 second-round picks. Give me a safety. Get me an edge. If you need to, you could move up. You could move back. You could maneuver. You could use free agency to bring in a guy like Leo Chenal. You could use free agency to get a guy like Travis Jones. You have $100 million, and you could slow play this to the point where when you hit 2027, you'll have a stellar offensive line. You'll have 2 or 3 really good new starters on defense. You can get a true number 2 wide receiver. And then at that point, you can go find your quarterback. I hear people who say Mendoza's the real deal. I see limited opportunities with Mendoza. I think he's a high floor guy. I just don't think he's generational. And when people are calling and saying, give up the farm to go get him, I just don't understand it. I never did understand it. And I like the kid. I think the kid is a really good kid. I just don't see him as a generational quarterback.
Oh, he definitely isn't. A generational quarterback is a quarterback who has 3 years of film where they could barely find a bad game, right? I mean, because that's what generational
is true.
Generational is dominant every week. domination every week.
And
I mean, generational is supposed to be once a decade at most.
that is true. And I love Drake May. I always did. I always thought that kid was going to be a star because I thought he was athletic. I thought he played with poise. I thought he had a great arm and he's with the right situation. I worry, and this is a crazy thing to think, I worry Mendoza is more a product of an Indiana team with two sensational young running backs, 3 NFL pro wide receivers, a really good offensive line, and a genius head coach. I think he's in such a perfect situation there that I think the whole is better than the part. I truly believe it. And that's where I worry about people saying, go all in, trade 2-3 first-round picks to go get him, which I think it's nuts. I think it's nuts to do so. Yeah.
Let me just be the first to say, Alan, can't say a simple bad thing about what you said, man. I am right there with you, Mendoza. Dude, if everybody who is eligible to came out, he wouldn't even be my quarterback 1.
I would take Dante Moore 1. I would.
So would I. Would I.
And I would not take Ty Simpson. He should go back to school. He would be a 3rd-round pick if it was up to me. Okay, he should go back to school.
Amen, brother. Chaos, I know Mendoza is at least your number 1. Is there anything bad that you can say about Alan's takes tonight?
No, I think they're respectable takes. I just think that, I mean, we're just all speculative, right? We're all giving our best opinions and, on the information that we have and the way we process things. And I wouldn't mind that strategy. Like if we did that, if we didn't trade up for a quarterback, which I don't necessarily, I'm not jumping on that we should. I always said, if there's no one you like, if there's no quarterback you love when you pick, you stay, let's say at 6, then take the best freaking linebacker or safety, like just stack up.
Yes.
I could even trade 6 back to 12 if somebody wants to jump up because they do like a quarterback we don't like. And if they add, if we add and stack more picks, I'm all about it. We got a million holes. There's so much we can do.
I honestly, and it's crazy to say this, I hope the Giants lose out and they have the number 1 pick. And then the Jets are completely effed because the Giants will never, ever trade him to us unless we give him a boatload times 2.
We have to give him everything.
Maybe we give him Breece Hall so they can repent on Saquon.
Yes. I hope the Giants go 2-15, get the number 1 pick. I really do. I don't think they will because I think they'll beat the Commanders next week. But I hope they lose out, get the number 1 pick, and basically force Muji to go a different direction at quarterback in 2026. Okay,
just to shy him off on trading the farm. That
absolutely. I don't want the Jets to be tempted to trade because they're being forced by the organization or the fan base to go get your guy in 2026 when you have 3 number 1s in 2027.
Well,
and again, I'm not touching any of those guys. Again, if I'm the Giants or Tennessee or New Orleans, if you have the number 1 pick, the first thing I will ask for is the Jets 2027 first. And that to me is a complete no-go. I am not doing that.
The good news is that I haven't seen this regime, say what you will about them. I haven't seen them do anything based on what the fans want.
I am excited. Again, they made one of the more brilliant deals with the Colts. And trust me, I'm not a big Adonai Mitchell fan. I think he's more hype than a guy who can really be a guy you can count on. But to get 2 first-round picks for Sauce was utter genius. It was genius.
Yeah.
And now they're screwed because they have no quarterback. And I don't know how they're going to get a quarterback.
And they have no picks to go.
They have no picks. They have no quarterback. They might have to call the Niners and overpay to go get Mac Jones next year. They might be forced to do that because there's nobody else. They're screwed.
Let's just hope they win 4 games next year at most.
Yes. So, and then again, if you have pretend you have 2 top 10 picks in the 2027 draft. You are gold with 3 or 4 quarterbacks in that spot. And then you're thinking to yourself, thank God I did not force the issue and trade 3 number ones for a mid-tier Kirk Cousins 2.0.
I don't know if I ever agree with trading 3 number ones for any quarterback. I mean, I'll shut up about it and pray that they're good, but like I don't think I'm ever for that. Just because, just by nature, forget any prospecting at all. 50% at least quarterbacks fail and disappoint, right? Like 50% of the quarterbacks drafted in the top 5 disappoint.
Yeah.
And you know, if Dante Moore goes back to school, that will be the starting point in a trade because there'll be nobody else.
Dude,
Because Ty Simpson most likely will go back to school. If Dante Moore goes back to school and it's Mendoza and nobody else, the team will have the number 1 pick, will have the pick of the litter, and we will force teams to bid against one another. And I hope the Jets are smart enough not to do that and slow play the rebuild, build the roster as a whole. Again, I hear people, and this is my final comment. People are like, oh, the Bills traded up for Josh Allen that year. But I'm thinking to myself, they just made the playoffs.
Yeah.
They were way ahead of where we are right now. Okay. We aren't even remotely close to the playoffs. Josh Allen was the piece to take him over the playoffs. I just want to get to 8 wins. We're not going to win another game the rest of the year. We're not. I mean, New Orleans went into Tampa and won today. Okay, think about that.
I hope we don't win another game.
I think they're going to go 3-14. They should lose out. That would be phenomenal.
I hope so. At this point,
Alan, man, you cooked. I hope you circle back and read the love from the chat. I think
I appreciate it, Danger, and even too, Jeremy. I know we've had our odds, but I appreciate everything. Thank you very much.
Thanks for
appreciate
it.
Please do not trade for Fernando Mendoza. He's a good boy. He's not.
I'm not the GM. I can't promise you anything.
Don't trade multiple ones. Let's be clear there. If it's a 1, if it's our top pick and a 2, you know that's different. But even then, you know,
let him fall to us.
Yeah.
I hope he bombs his. I hope he bombs his combine and maybe he falls to us. But I am not trading multiple ones to go get him.
If we lose the rest of the way out, let's see where we end up picking. We don't even know where we'd end up.
4.
Yeah.
4 maybe.
More likely.
We're screwed on the strength of schedule on most of the teams. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Have a good one, guys.
Yep. Right. Yep. See ya, Alan. Good talk. Just, hey, call me Dano. I'm not Danger, but I do like that name. Dano is fine. This is the Danger Zone. You guys have been chilling here. Dude, I'm so sorry, Chaos. 2.5 hours, not something I expected.
Hey, I'm here, man. I'm here. And, you know, it's like even the people I'm at odds with, you don't agree with me. I don't agree with you. If there's anybody out there, I certainly hope I feel like I really worked hard not to attack anyone and respect everybody's opinions. I'm trying to do more of that. So, but whether you disagree with everything I said, and even the people who insist on saying nasty things, whatever it was, thank you for being here. Because even the people that were the most at odds with, honestly, have been here the entire time. So, you know, if you disagree with everything I said, but you were here supporting the channel for 2 hours and 35 minutes, I appreciate you.
Dude, you could hate me and Chaos if you want to stay down there and just enjoy our
no one
live
hates
chat.
you. They just hate me, dude. No one hates you. Everybody loves me.
But you know what I'm saying though? I wouldn't go that far. But enjoy the live chat. You know, hey, enjoy the show. Enjoy hating us. That's, you know, that's worth the price of admission. Which, might I remind you, we don't have ads. Super chats are optional. You can pay nothing to hate us. Come on in, man. Sunday nights. I will say, Jeremy Chaos, man, the reason we stayed this long is because we've done record numbers tonight. I don't know about the views. I don't really care because they're not indicative. The live chat's been popping, man. This has got to be the craziest the chat's been, man. I've probably read 5% of the chats, and I'm so sorry about that. There's 31 in here still now, and I'm sorry that we're even leaving you guys hanging because we gotta finish this. But Dude, we got up to like 42, you said tonight. Record, even for Friday nights.
Amazing.
Dude, our flagship show on Fridays don't even touch those numbers. So I appreciate the interest because we've won games and not had these numbers. Meanwhile, today we were a laughing stock, and we've done it, man. We've put on a good show. I hope. Spike the like button. Chaos. Thankfully for these folks, we're out here on the West Coast, so it's 9:30. But for some of them, it's Monday, man. It's Monday.
Blown away. The support we're getting has been incredible. Greatly appreciate it. I can't even imagine what the show would be like and what the chat would be like if we actually, like, next year have a winning team.
Dude, yeah. I cannot either. And we will discuss that again because that is something that I'm highly curious about. Will it be normal? Will it be average? Will it be? I would hope that people are more stoked then, but also like, dude, negative shit gets clicks. It's weird how today's content is, but closing up, man. You have the floor. 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever you want to say. Is there something maybe Alan said, maybe Swamp said, maybe the chat said we didn't get a chance to talk about, man? Now's the time to talk about it, and then I'll ask for your plugs after that.
Well, I want to plug Barney Miller, who came in a little late, obviously, but he's here, and appreciate him. He's been a supporter of mine for a long, long time. And Kobayashi, if you're new, I appreciate you coming and giving us the opportunity to entertain you. Look, the truth is I used to get all bent out of shape when someone didn't agree with exactly, and I would take it personally. I don't do that anymore. I realize I've been right about things and I've been wrong about things, and everybody else has been right about things and been wrong about things. And we're not here to attack each other. We're here to share and talk football. In real life, when it's not a chat, when you talk with people, you typically don't start fighting and arguing with them and cursing them out and insulting their mother. You typically just have a disagreement, go, nah, man, whatever. And you have a disagreement. I haven't heard anything outrageous or outlandish from 90% of the people here tonight. Alon has his opinion, and I don't think it's a terrible opinion to sit there and say, I don't want to trade draft capital. And to say, if the quarterback is not there when you pick, just pick great players. And keep all that draft capital and turn it into as many great players as possible and build up this roster. That's fine. And if somebody says we have some capital, let's trade up. If the Jets love one of those quarterbacks, if they absolutely love him and they do trade up a little draft capital to get him and not give away the farm, as long as that player hits, it's fine. Otherwise, we're all going to be angry about it. And then guess what? It's going to cost the GM the job. He'll be gone. That's how GMs get fired. You trade up for a quarterback and he misses, and then now your team's going to suck because you gave away all your draft capital. And now you're going to be out of a job one day, right? So that's just how it works. So I could, my dream is we work our way up high enough that we end up having the quarterback fall in our lap that we love, if we love them. But if not, there are great players in this draft, man. I have a channel called Brooklyn Brothers Food Review. Before I go, I just want to plug that. Brooklyn Brothers Food Review. We're putting out videos, me and my brothers, man. My brothers are working harder at it than me right now, but we got some good fun stuff. So completely unrelated to the Jets, except for the fact that I'm always wearing Jets gear when I'm on it. And man, we're all over the world reviewing restaurants, reviewing food. It's a lot of fun. I would love to have as much support in that channel as well.
Preach, man. I've seen you on there recently, and I was getting, no offense, a little tired of seeing your brothers. But then you got out on the East Coast, and you started making some videos, and I was like, oh, baby, I'm reinvigorized on this shit. Yeah, dude, enjoy that because, we can't... Dude, today was the kind of game where, yes, as Barney said, we need each other in times like this. But also, you also can't lean too much into it. You have to pick and choose the amount of things going through your timeline. Brooklyn Brothers Food Review for me. I'm not just saying that because you're here, but is a nice thing to pepper into my timeline so that when I am, burn out on Jets talk, hey, man, I can find out what JetsChaos thinks about this random cheese.
Well, watch Jeremy compare a chicken Big Mac to a regular Big Mac.
Yes. Yes. Or watch this guy that looks exactly like Jeremy, but he has hair or he has, something else. Try some hot sauce, with his breakfast. Hey, down here, right below, subscribe at minimum. Again, I've told you guys before, subscribing, even if you don't want to watch the content, subscribe because it tells the folks, keep doing what you're doing, man. Doing good shit. Even if it's not for me, it's for someone. Keep doing it. That's what I do with channels that I don't always want to watch, but I think should keep making content because I know they'll keep getting better at it. And as they get better, it'll be more my cup of tea and it'll be, you know what I mean? Same thing. Brooklyn Brothers Food Review at YouTube. Check them out. Chat's already talking about that, about Jets talk. Gotta let them go, man. So, Chaos, man, I know you got a full week ahead. I got a full week ahead, man. We lost. We're going to Jacksonville next week. I will talk to you after that game. Anything you want to put on record, though, before it?
Look, they would have to put up a real stinker for us to win. Jacksonville's a good football team, and the only way we're going to be competitive is we just play a great game. If they play, and if we play the way we played today, it's going to be another blowout. It's going to be hard to sit through. So, that's all there is to say about it. They're a much better football team. It's very unlikely we will win.
He is Jeremy, JetsChaos. I am Dano, coming to you live from the Danger Zone. Folks, have a good night. Jeremy, you have a good week.
Take care, everybody.
All right. See ya.
I'm convinced we're the most cursed team in professional sports.
You guys are bad.
I've been saying this hot take for a long time, and I'm sticking to it. My hot take is that Will McDonald's going to hit 15 sacks.
No member of the New York Jets' Week 1 offensive line will miss a game all year.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time! So get ready to rumble!